Let's just see if this works. I'm just waiting for some people to turn up. Okay, let's see if this works. Hi, everyone. Greetings. Oh, I can hear something. It's me. It's me. That's good. That's good to know. Okay, so just hopefully to get some comments. People turning up soon. I'll put this on. It's already on Facebook, and I'll put it on Facebook. Just so I'm going live, and I'll put it. It should already be on Twitter. Is it on? It should already be on there. Is it? Yes, it is. Oh, good. Right. I'll put it on MeWe. There we are, and I'll put it on Gab. These are all the other websites that don't ban you for saying the wrong things. And I'll put it on minds.com, and it's already shared on Google Plus automatically, which is good. Just got to wait now to see if anyone turns up. Let's have a look. Oh, here's the chat. Okay. Hey, guys, I see you now. I was looking at the wrong chat box. Gary PR's disappointed. Hello, sorry. Hi, Stephen Bamber. Hello. Neil Austin. V8 Mose. Good evening. Paul W. Hello, Paul. Clausum. Hi, Clausum. And Shelley, AF1. Good evening. Can you all hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Because we had a little problem with the sound earlier on. Top lad. Safety man. Hello, safety man. Hey, how are you? Hope you can all hear me. Yeah, so I can hear myself actually through my earphones. Good, Paul W. Thanks very much. Thanks, Emperor Mong. Hello. Hi, V8. Thank you very much. Now, the reasons I've called this hangout is because of the pretty awful situation going on in Syria at the moment. Hey, Dan. Hello, Dan. Hi. Thanks very much, everyone. Thanks very much for doing the sound test for me. Welcome to this live stream. I think it's the 4th live stream I've done. And I have brought you together because, hi, Stuart. Thanks, Stephen. Hello, UK Parkster, and Simon. Hello, Simon Tucker. The reason I brought you together is because there's a pretty awful situation going on in Syria at the moment. It really has. So that's a pretty awful thing. That's something we have to deal with. And of course, there's been the latest developments. I've got a news page open on here. Here we go. The UN chief has just said, this is Antonio Guterres, who's UN Secretary General, the Cold War is back with a vengeance. The US and its allies are considering launching missile attacks against Syria after a suspected chemical attack. They're actually calling it suspected on the BBC News, whose forces are supporting the government, and it said it would risk starting war. Duh. You attack a country, that's war, you know. Russia has accused the UK of faking an attack. Well, we'll come on to that. An allegation Britain dismissed as a grotesque, blatant lie. But they haven't got any evidence that's a lie. They say, oh, guess who's got the evidence? The French president, Emmanuel, what's his name? The little skinny Zionist git. What's the little skinny, slimy git? The one who for some reason, the French preferred to Marine Le Pen. God knows why. Yeah, the Cold War, which followed Allied victory in World War II, so the US and its allies facing off for decades against the Soviet Union, of which Russia is the main successor state. Right, yeah. Now, it's very, very interesting. I'll come on to actually what Trump is doing, but I should say a few words about Trump, actually, because he seems to be the central figure of this whole thing. Donald J. Trump, a president of the United States. Now, it's his behavior in particular, I think, is important here. Now, what we have is almost an exact textbook repeat of something that happened almost exactly 1 year ago to the day. I made a video called The Counter-Trumpeting, which is all about that. Now, basically what happened was Syria was alleged, the Syrian government under Bashar al-Assad, the president, was alleged to have committed a chemical warfare attack, a weapon of mass destruction. Under international law, that makes him guilty of the most appalling war crime of all. to use a weapon of mass destruction against an unarmed civilian population. And Trump decided to use military action against Syria. In fact, he launched a number of missiles from ships in the Eastern Mediterranean. These were cruise missiles, land attack cruise missiles, that destroyed several bunkers and hangars at an airbase. And about 6 people were killed, including a couple of Russians. Now, if you watch my video, The Counter-Trumpening, I will put a link in the description box when, well, I won't do it now, but I'll do it when this is recorded and it's actually a recorded video. I was talking really, really downheartedly because, you know, I thought Trump was the 2016 man. You know, this was springtime in Narnia. This was the deep state losing control of the political process and allowing someone like Trump to get in. And I maintain that did happen. I don't go along with this idea, well, Trump was an insider from the start. No, I don't go along with that idea. I think he's been turned into an insider. And that's a sad fact. Now, there's a saying that you can't work in a paint shop without staining your clothes. And I think that applies to President Trump very much because, do you remember what he said? It was all part of his manifesto. He rode into the White House saying he was going to drain the swamp. He was going to tackle this government corruption. Drain the swamp was his catchphrase. But the thing about Trump was his naivety. He was a businessman. He was a hard-nosed businessman. He was his whole life, but he never got involved in politics. The President of the United States was the first ever political office that he ever stood for. So you can just imagine, after skirting the peripheries of politics and keeping out of it, suddenly he's thrown into the deepest, darkest stretch of this swamp. And what a horrifying shock it must be, because the real swamp is like nothing he ever dreamed of in his worst nightmares. And I don't know what it was they threatened him with, but it's nothing to do with these recent, you know, infidelity scandals with that porn star Stormy Daniels. It's worse than that. I think it was probably they threatened Melania's life, his wife, or Barron, his son, or one of his many grandchildren. He's a man with a lot to lose. He has a huge family who he loves very much. He wouldn't be afraid of attacks against his own life or threats to his own life, but he would be to those he loves. So 2016, sadly, the 2016 effect is now over and the empire has struck back. So far, 2018 is not turning into Return of the Jedi, as I hoped it would. In fact, it looks as if the deep state, which is the word that's used nowadays, I've always used the word Illuminati, but it looks as if the deep state are literally just about 2 years behind where they planned to be if Hillary Clinton had won. If their chosen one had got into power. So how's it going, guys? Who else says Phuket? Hello, Phuket. Is there Gary PR? Hello. Thanks for joining. William, here we got Jack Dew, Emperor Mong. Hello, guys. How are you? Stephen Bamber. Yeah. In one interview before Russia singled out Britain about the war. Robbie Diablo. Hello. How are you? And now, how are you guys? Thanks for false flag thing on this isn't going to be productive, I think. Okay. Hi, Ben. Please keep an open mind on this issue. A lot of pro-Assad and Russia types are hardening for war and fighting the false flag thing on this isn't going to be productive, I think. Well, I'll deal with the evidence I see it, Gary. I mean, I'll be describing some of the reasons I think we should be suspicious on this. I do keep an open mind. I don't know. I can't prove that that Bashar al-Assad actually did what the mainstream is saying he did. I can't prove that. But hi, Vestel. Hello. But I think we have to just look at it logically and see if it makes sense. And Diego Rivera. Hello. There's no evidence. Yes, Diego Rivera. There is no evidence for what? The Bigfoot in Britain. I know that's what you're going to say next, aren't you? Let's pay Diego Rivera bingo, right? First one who goes beep whenever he or she mentions the Bigfoot, you win a prize. First prize is an evening out with me. Second prize is a week away with me. Right, okay. So this Hillary Clinton was the chosen one. She didn't get in. Trump, they desperately tried to stop Trump getting in. He got in, and now they decided to change tactics, and they've tried to manage him as he is in the White House. And unfortunately, it looks like they're succeeding. I knew something bad was coming up, because just a week earlier, before all this kicked off, Trump appointed John Bolton as his national security advisor. Now, the national security advisor to the President of the United States is one of the most senior executive positions there is, and one of the most important executive positions there is in the United States government. He's basically the guy who decides a lot of foreign policy, or the president decides, but the national security advisor is expected to be listened to. Now, do you remember John Bolton? He was this guy funny-looking guy with a big bushy moustache, and he's a neoconservative. He's a hawk, pro-war, and he was George W. Bush's ambassador to the United Nations. He's one of the driving forces for the invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq following the 9/11 attacks. And now we have this incident. It's a virtual exact repeat of a trick they pulled off. It was a trick they tried to pull off before, and they actually managed to get Trump to bomb Syria. That in itself is the kind of thing it's exactly the kind of thing Hillary Clinton would have done without hesitation and with eagerness. And they manipulated Trump into doing it. And now, 1 year later, the exact same thing has happened. There's allegedly been a chemical weapons attack on the town of Douma in Syria. Now, Douma is a suburb of Damascus, the central capital of Syria. And it's during the Syrian civil war, which has been raging since 2011. It's a 7-year-old civil war. Douma has been in the hands of al-Nusra, which is the principal enemy within the civil war of the government, which is basically the Syrian equivalent of the Islamic State. Now, the chemical weapons attack has been blamed on the government forces, led by Bashar al-Assad. Assad the Butcher, Bashar the Butcher, Animal Assad, all these nicknames you keep getting from him. And of course, this, as I said, this Syrian airbase was hit by this missile. It was hit by this missile. One moment, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh. It was hit by this missile, and that is extremely dangerous, considering what the relationship that Syria has with the Russians. Right, okay. One moment. It's a really reckless thing to do. Absolutely reckless. Now, you're talking about the thing is, this could have led to, for instance, a situation where the Russians would, if this had led to, say, air strikes or something like that, continued airstrikes using aircraft, the Russians could have said, well, we'll shoot down American aircraft. And then the Americans would have to strike their Russian anti-aircraft missile batteries, which would then lead to further retaliation from the Russians. And before you know it, the United States is in a war with Russia. And in this day and age, we're talking about engagement between two nuclear superpowers, which could escalate to the exchange of strategic nuclear weapons, which could lead to the destruction of both countries and the deaths of millions of people on both sides. Exactly the scenario that said would one day emerge in the Cold War. And so it's happening again. They're doing the same thing now. And Trump has warned that he will once again carry out a military attack on Syria. I mean, he was really using fighting words just yesterday. Get ready, Russia, because the cruise missiles will be coming. Nice, new, and smart. That's what he said. Now, he said several other very belligerent tweets as well. Very belligerent things, very, very sort of macho and very, very loud and aggressive things. Now, I'll just say hello to the new people in the chat box. Hello, we've got Safety. Oh, Safety Man said, Gary Robinson. Hello. I'm glad you made it, Gary Robinson. You managed to actually catch one. That's really good. And Mel O'Brien. Hello, Mel O'Brien. CMD's Chemicals of Mass Destruction. Yeah. A situation the Illuminati want. Precisely, Stephen. Yeah. And Safety man says it doesn't matter because it can't be proved the warmongers want war because war is big money to them. Well, yes, of course, it's an industry. Stefan Molyneux, I know I keep referring to him, but he did a very, very good piece just yesterday on the military-industrial complex and how that it works out like that. The Chemical Brothers did it. Mr. Pastry. That's right. Neil Austin. Hi, Neil. Peter Ford is very strong on the lack of evidence on the BBC yesterday. Yeah, I mean, this is the good news is the lack of evidence thing is breaking through into the mainstream. So it's very, very heavy. It's very, very big. Hello, Edwardian lady. Hi, how are you? Thanks for joining us. And Sorenable. Hello, Sorenable. Jam Noise. Hello, Soul Sister. Kipper Bun. Hi, Kipper. And we have David Mundy. Hello. Russia said we staged. See, the Russians, yeah, I'll say more about the Russians because that's very, very interesting too. And David Mundy. Hello, David. And two Gary Robinsons. Well, one of you's fake and one of you's real. Be like that film, The Man Who Haunted Himself. You know, that was a good one. So yeah, we're looking at a real big problem now. Now Trump tweeted this. Now this is interesting, okay? Because after all this very sort of jingoistic tweets from Trump, because Trump is a very prolific Twitter user, and his Twitter feed is absolutely fascinating. He said this. He said, many dead, including women and children, in a mindless chemical attack in Syria. Area of atrocity is in lockdown and encircled by the Syrian army, making it completely inaccessible to the outside world. President Putin, Russia and Iran are responsible for backing Animal Assad. Big price. Now, do you see anything wrong with that? I wish I could show you the tweet, actually. I don't know if you put pictures in. You can't put pictures in the Spurk chat. But if you just, all you have to do is go to go here. I'll give you the link to the article I wrote. And just check out the actual tweet. I'll put it in the Spurk chat now. There we are. I'm just putting this in the Spurk chat. There we go. Okay, check that out. And who are the TV people who filmed in hospitals? Yeah, that's good. The actual, that's very interesting. Yeah, the nukes are fake, says Phuket. I hope so. God, yeah. But yeah, the actual footage, I didn't actually tackle this when I was doing my notes, but the actual footage of the chemical warfare, the people in hospital, the chemical warfare relief effort, is as fake as it was a year ago, where people were going around without gloves on, where there's no way you would actually deal with, you'd have to have some kind of protective clothing. The medical team would have to have some kind of protective clothing to prevent them getting sick themselves. Remember with the Skripal attack, some of the policemen got sick. TK says, I bet Trump don't do now. Hi, TK. Are you Tiberius Kirk? Well, I hope, well, what's Trump going to do? That's the question. He's got to look as if he's doing something. That's the thing, yeah. And Diego, you're absolutely right. The white helmets are not to be trusted. They are part of this funding program in the Syrian civil war, which includes al-Nusra. So they're basically CIA backed. Right. Mehdi Kashan, don't do it now, please. Phuket, have you been reading my article? Yes. His tweets are a cry for help. Yes. Well done, Phuket. Did you read my article or did you just come up with that? Because if you came up with that yourself, that's excellent. Yeah. Now, if you read through the words of Trump's tweet, he describes the attack by Assad as mindless. Now, that's a very strange way of saying it. It's a revealing word. Mindless. It's a mindless attack. Because if you think about it, the war's been raging for 7 years. It's been a slow, bitter, very, very cruel process. Lots and lots of bloodshed. But Assad has all but won. It's almost all over. He's pushed al-Nusra back and exterminated them. And there's very, very few places left where the al-Nusra and their allies are actually hanging out. Now, so he's won this war. There's only a couple of places where they still hang out, including Duma. And so the United States has just announced, like Trump just announced a couple of days ago, that they were removing all military assets from the region, effectively making this a mission accomplished for Assad. What's more, Trump was actually saying just a few months ago how it would be wrong to attack Syria. So Assad is in a wonderful position here. He's won the war. America are leaving. They're not breathing down his neck anymore. You'd think, well, it's perfect. He's achieved his own political ambitions. Now, supposing he was some sort of masochist who was intent on thwarting his own political ambitions, what would he do? He'd have to do something really hideous, right? What if he's just sitting there saying, no, this isn't good. I don't want success. I don't want to win this war. I want to do something. I want to shame myself before the international community. I want to reignite all these domestic hostilities that I've spent 7 years and thousands of my troops putting down. I want to invite renewed US intervention. What am I going to do? How am I going to destroy myself? How am I going to ruin my country? How am I going to bankrupt my economy? Let's see. I know. I'll carry out a chemical warfare attack on a civilian target. I'll kill women and children in an area that's under siege by my army. And that's an important point. And this is what I think what Trump is saying. He mentions in his tweet. I'll read the tweet again. Many dead, including women and children, in mindless chemical attack in Syria. Area of atrocity is in lockdown and encircled by the Syrian army, making it completely impossible inaccessible to the outside world. President Putin, Russia, Iran responsible for backing the animal Assad. Big prize. So Trump has stated, this is Trump contradicting himself. And what's more, I think he's deliberately contradicting himself. Why would Assad need to attack an area with chemical weapons and weapon of mass destruction, which will give international condemnation? It's something that under international law, he can be basically killed and removed from power for. Why would he do that? Where's the tactical value in that? Why is it a legitimate military act? Even if he wanted to do it, even if he was crazy enough to do it, his own military advisors would tell him not to. The generals and the commanding, the commanding officers in the area would probably veto it. It's ridiculous that he would do something like this. So Trump is, he uses the word mindless. So in other words, it's militarily superfluous. It's political suicide. Duma is inaccessible from the outside world. That will so Trump is contradicting himself, and he's doing it deliberately. And then there's two deliberate contradictions in this. There's another one here. He says that Duma is inaccessible to the outside world. And this will hopefully make people ask, how on earth can anyone confirm whether the stories of chemical warfare attacks are true if no one can get in there because the Syrian army surrounded it? It's a siege. The army surrounding the area in order to basically drain the will of the enemy to fight. They're going to run out of food. They're going to run out of water. They're going to have to surrender. It's classic tactic, a siege. So then Trump is deliberately contradicting himself then by saying Russia is responsible and Iran is responsible. I think Phuket is right, and I said the same thing yesterday. This is a cry for help by Trump. This is an encoded message to alert the public. And I just hope it's not too late. So you guys in chat. So let's have a listen. All right. Tiberius Kirk. Okay. Yes, it is a cry for help. TK, not Tiberius Kirk. Okay, the other TK. Secret Service TK. All right. I knew you had to be there. Thanks for owning up. Iman Padouin, Pure Dima. Hello. Glad you're here. I don't know if you've mentioned this, but there's a Vanessa Beeley video of the White Helmets rescuing a buried baby. It's either a dummy or already dead. I think the former. I haven't seen that, Iman, but I don't trust the White Helmets. I really don't. David Munday said, "You're right, Ben. Surely this would remove the clothes and shower chemicals, not stick a hose over them." Look, yeah, it's true, actually. I actually took part in this drill at my hospital when I was a porter back in the old days. And we had to pretend that there was a chemical attack in Oxford, and we had to deal with it. And the ambulance crews were all in these hazmat suits, which you see them using in Salisbury a couple of weeks ago after the chemical attack there. And we porters, we had to go into this shower, take our clothes off, shower, and put a new uniform on. We had to change uniforms and wash ourselves down and wash our shoes and everything going in and out of this area. So, yeah, I mean, and also if you're in direct contact with the chemical weapons, as in the paramedics, firefighters, and policemen, it's even more stringent. You actually have like a special machine for cleaning you down. and you're completely isolated from everywhere else. An E-Man predicts you would tell it's not live because you hear crying, but the mouth doesn't move. That's right. The soundtrack's been added later. And Mr. MT, hello, Mr. MT. Libya is the biggest disaster since World War II. Yeah, Libya is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Libya was Colonel Gaddafi, the ruler of Libya. The reason they took him out was because he decided to set up a Bank of Africa, which was to be gold standard, so it wouldn't use fiat currency. It would be separated from the World Bank, and he was also planning to set up a water supply as well, some irrigation from a massive aquifer underneath the desert in Libya, underground lake. And there's a lot of water underground beneath the desert, even though the desert itself is dry. So that's absolutely true. And then, of course, as Hillary Clinton said with her evil laugh, we came, he saw, he died. So they killed him. He was lynched in the street. Basically, the mob got hold of him and they beat the excrement out of him until he was dead. And they stuck a knife up his bottom and things like that. It was awful what they did to him. So it doesn't matter how much you kiss the posteriors of the globalists. If you go against them, they show you no gratitude. Oil is not the goal. I think artifacts. Oil is bogus, says 60. Even planes fly without. Oh, Phuket, were you the guy who wrote to me and kept sending me these videos saying that planes don't have any oil inside them? Unless you're referring to the free energy thing. I don't know. Or what Andrew Johnson says about the B-1 bomber. TK, maybe Syria doesn't exist and it's all a big lie. I know. TK, I think it might exist, but it's maybe on the edge, near the edge of the flat earth, you know. It's that sort of area. So everyone else is here. So I'll just say hello to Beehive yourself. Hi, Beehive. Mary444. Hello, Mary. Yes. Thanks for and I'm just going here. Mady Kashash. Hello, Mady Kashash. David Monday says, if we staged it so Americans would attack it, so foreign power or us staged it. And Mel O'Brien says, Trump isn't too bright. Putin's very smart. Technology, the Russians are in advance of the US. Remember the USS Donald Cook was disabled by the Russians. Oh, right. I think that ship's still there, you know. Homeless immigrants will inherit the flat earth. Neo-Assyrian Empire, the capital of which was the city of Ashur, which is the name for Syria. Okay. James. Hello, James. James, 78-ish. Lack of cross-infection control. Yeah, that's right. Neil, I know you're in healthcare. I won't say what you do, but you know you're in healthcare. You know about cross-infection. It's very stringent in hospitals during these drills. Yeah. The V8 Mo says that the white helmets are stooges. Crisis Act. Well, they are stooges. I think they are part of this opposition. This controlled opposition, which is run by the CIA, which includes Al-Nusra, which is basically an awful organization. Radical Islamists who cut the heads off their victims when they capture them alive. Absolutely terrible people. No victims of the gas attack were admitted to hospitals, says Mary. Military down, troops hit by... Oh. Anthony Moore. Hi, Moore. Hi, Anthony Moore. How are you? We clean up in a war against Russia, no problem. James, they launched their missiles if they had to. The military deal is now that troops hit by chemical are to withdraw and move to the decontamination units. Yeah. No victims of gas were admitted in hospital. When are the aliens going to step in and stop World War III? Yeah, well, I'd like to see that, Mr. MT. If necessary, I hope they would. They've certainly given indications that they can control our nuclear arsenals. And Diego Rivera says, Trump has always been a Zionist. Son-in-law slept in the same bed as Benjamin Netanyahu. I don't know if Netanyahu... Was Netanyahu actually in the bed at the same time? Now, Trump, it seems to have certainly been, like I said, Trump is actually been co-opted, definitely. I mean, like I said, I think he tried to drain the swamp, but unfortunately, as they say, if you work in a paint shop, you get your clothes stained. Hi, Emperor. Hey, Paul. It's Paul from THA Talks. How are you, sir? Nice to meet you. Old friend from the old David Icke forum there. And Tink123. Hi, Ben. War is just a big fake psyop operation. Trump was wiped out, exposing elite paedophile rings. All right. We know he can't arrest anything because it leads to UK criminality. Well, this is the thing. There's a lot of talk about arrests and things like that. I don't know what's going on there. Mady says, I'm Syrian and I give him the rights to do that. Really, Mady? Kashash? Well, so long as... Really? Well, what if the bombs hit you? They might hit you at some point. And then what if the Russia and the United States go really flat out or for war? Would you still want him to do it then? And Anthony Morn, America has been kicking everyone's ass for years. A good American ass kicking, long overdue. Unfortunately, in this day and age, Anthony, the ass kicking would go in both directions, and everyone else would get the same thing back. Mary 444. The link I sent you today, I've been told you everywhere. Depopulation, yes. Did you send me a link, Mary? I didn't see it. Feel free to post it yourself. Lady, who's this? Lady Phantasm. Lordly Phantasm, hello. Winterborn Gunner. Yeah. She's just down the road from Salisbury. Defence CPR Arms School. That's right, yeah. I mean, it's the perfect place they could deploy these weapons I was talking about there. There have been 6,000 arrests for sex trafficking. Now, Diego Rivera, do you believe World War III agenda has been directed by the aliens? No, I don't. I'll be in Turkey from the 24th, says Emperor Mong. Hopefully I won't do the Midnight Express. Well, don't get yourself locked in jail. Don't carry drugs. Ego Dust, hello. Russian would flatten the UK military without breaking a sweat. Yeah, they probably would, actually, yeah. Ben, identify the enemy. Be specific, not just the Illuminati. Thanks. Okay, who is the enemy then, Ego Dust? Because I do think the Illuminati are the ultimate enemy. Okay, Mary, thanks very much. I'll just carry on anyway, because there's been some updates. Now, first of all, I should point out that there's, if you watch Mike Cernovich, he's been talking about something that many other people have as well. Cernovich is more mainstream than some of the other people who've been mentioning it. I know that Duncan Campbell's been talking about this on Truth Frequency Radio. But the fact is that there have been a massive arrests in the Washington, D.C. area. A huge number. And that's an enormous concern. The thing is, whether it's who's being arrested and by whom, that's the question. But I know that Cernovich thinks this is a move by Trump and his allies against the deep state infiltration. So if Trump is fighting back, that's a good thing. I know that Michael Salla was saying the same thing. If you remember my Hawaiian missile live stream, do you remember the missile alert live stream? The same thing. I was saying the same thing. That basically, there's a secret civil war going on. QAnon, yeah. Eddie. Hello, Eddie. Eddie Shit. Hello. That's his name, Eddie Shit. Oh. QAnon, yeah. The QAnon posts have been very interesting. I don't have time to go into those now. But basically, there seems to be a secret civil war raging in the United States within the political structure itself of the federal government. And that has been, the FBI have been arresting people. It's not been reported in the papers. And Michael Salla, after the missile alert in Hawaii, Michael Salla thinks there was an attempted false flag missile attack on the United States, which Trump's allies managed to thwart. You see, the thing about it is it was going to be blamed on North Korea, so that Trump would be forced to retaliate with nuclear weapons against North Korea, which would wipe out that entire country, basically. But it was stopped, possibly by Trump's allies within the U.S. government. Why is Donald Trump orange, Ben? Says Diego Rivera. Because he's a Martian. He comes from Mars. He has a mountaintop highway on Mount Olympus. Olympus Mons, the big volcano. So the question is, will this make a difference? I mean, see, Trump is not going to say things like this publicly. Hello, Vanya Patterson. Welcome, Vanya. Trump is not going to say these sort of things openly. And Lordly Phantasm, I thought NK were looking to start a dialogue. Well, this is the thing. North Korea, that's a big subject. We'll have to talk about that later. But the question is, I mean, this is obviously an attempt. They're trying to make they're trying to make Trump behave in a certain way. Hi, Vanya. They're trying to make Trump behave in a certain way. This is part of their co-option move against Trump. And whether Trump is able to fight back or not, I don't know. Now, Michael Salah thinks he's successfully fighting back, but he can't be that successfully fighting back because of this position he's in. I'm just going to go back to my notes now, but I'll catch up with your comments in a minute. Now, this was on BBC. Again, it's been spoken about quite openly. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said that a reported chemical attack in Syria was staged by foreign agents. So this is an open discussion of false flag maneuvers. They weren't talking about this. They weren't this open about it over 9/11, were they? The US and France say they have proof it took place, and alongside the UK are considering military retaliation. Well, since Macron got in, France has been totally wholly owned a subsidiary of the deep state, of the globalists, of the Illuminati. They had their chance to put Le Pen in power and do their own Donald Trump, and they didn't. Russia, which has military forces deployed in Syria in support of the government, has warned that US strikes risk starting war. Yes, they do. The UN Secretary General, says the Middle East is in chaos and the Cold War is back with a vengeance. Independent chemical weapons experts are expected to arrive in the area of the alleged attack on Saturday. That's tomorrow. So are they going to get past the siege? The army is going to let them through this blockade. I don't know. I doubt that. Now, during a press briefing on Friday, Mr. Lavrov said he had irrefutable evidence that the attack was staged as part of a Russophobic campaign led by one country he did not name. Well, it's not a country. It's a world power, the Illuminati, the globalists. Now, the Russophobia, I used the word Russophobia for my last live stream. Fear or hatred of Russia and all things Russian, and all people Russian. So this is the irrefutable evidence. Now, these weapons inspectors that are supposedly going to Syria tomorrow, we all know how easily weapons inspectors can be subverted. Remember the Iraq weapons inspectors, Scott Ritter, and what he was saying about it. He's the weapons inspector who rebelled and said that it's all being staged. We're all being told to lie. We're all being told to say that Saddam has weapons of mass destruction when he doesn't. The White House is saying it's continuing to assess the intelligence and talk to its allies about how to respond. I think Trump is playing for time. I'll say more about this in a minute. A delegation from the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons will start its investigation in the region on Saturday. Okay, so tomorrow we'll find out what happens there. Or what proof is there of a chemical attack? The suspected attack is denied by the Syrian president, Bashar al-Assad's government. Control over the town has passed from the rebels to Syrian and Russian military authority. Violations Documentation Center. It's interesting, it says on the control of the town has since passed from rebels to the Syrian and Russian military authorities. So, exactly, it's surrounded. Basically, they're saying it's under siege. And a siege can't last long because you run out of food, you run out of water, you have to surrender. So, what the Violations Documentation Center, the Syrian opposition network, has said bodies were found with foaming in the mouth, discolored skin, and burns to the eyes. Okay, so who are these Violations Documentation Center? Are these the same? Are these anyway connected with the white helmets? I'm not sure anyway. Oh, can you all see me? I'm scrolling now. I'm sort of like hourglassing on there. Okay, so here we go. Mike Pence face. I'm just trying to find. Hi, GS Evolved. How are you? Are you all right? Let's just see what's happening now. GS Evolved. Hello. Okay, so I have now. So it's better than a news night. Well, Diego Rivera, thank you. That's not much of a compliment, but it's something. I'm glad you're watching this instead of. North Korea CIA controls says Tink 123. Mary 4. Do you know about Mary 444? Do you know about those books that were written in the 1890s? Apparently, Tesla left his paperwork to Trump's uncle, and the uncle left them to Donald. Paperwork includes. What, really? Hi, Emperor Mong. But I don't know anything about that, Mary. But I'd like to know if there's any connection between Tesla and Trump. Vanya Patterson. The news that was trending straight after the chemical attack said that Russia said that it was Israel because the weapons came from the Lebanese side of Syria. That news quickly disappeared. Oh, really? Good evening, Julian Carver. How are you? David Icke is right. Reptiles. Yes, he is. How many kids died getting His Royal Highness Prince Philip RH blood? I know. I wonder what they found out when they operated on Prince Philip the other day. I think the doctors might have been paid to keep quiet or warned. Eamon Puadima, Trump has gangster allies, but there are bigger gangster allies that are bigger than them. He wants a complete goody in the first place, but even he wasn't a bit of an outsider. He wasn't a complete goody. No, I'm not saying he was like completely on our side, but he was somebody who was very, very different. It's easier to threaten him and his children. That's right, Eman. As I said, he's a man with a lot to lose. Oops for a time-traveling machine. Apparently, Trump, Barron, and Pence have seen the destruction meted on the world by Hillary, and he's come back to stop that happening. Well, if that's true, then that's great. Tink123. Dark journalist interviews state Nixon. I like dark journalists. What's he saying? Nixon was going to disclose the truth to the people. They got him by fake Watergate, and he left a secret time capsule in the White House to be read by the people. Really, Tink? Where is it? Hi, John Daniels. All lying cunts. Yes. Let's have a look. Where are we? Says Emperor Mong. Leaving now, Ben. We'll watch later. See you. See you, James. Thanks for posting. Emperor Mong. Sorry. The Illuminati are totally behind all this. Yes, that's true. Hey, Kimberly Clark. Hello. Kimberly Clark is here. How are you, Kimberly? Thanks for joining us. I hope you would. Hope to see you at Dreaming Sources in a couple of weeks. Tink123. It's a sick bloodline war. Yeah, being played out. They're all as bad as each other, all out for global power domination. If any truth lies, good, bad. Sick people, yeah. Yes, Iman, Macron has seen proof, but it didn't say what it was. No, exactly. Macron has said he's seen proof, but I could say proof. I got proof that I got an invisible pink unicorn living in my pocket, but I can't show you that proof right now. Okay, I'll show it you later. Okay. Simon Tucker, don't you think it's a very small false flag? I'm waiting for a bigger one. Well, Simon, it's actually funny you should say that, because I think the little low-key false flags are not working anymore. The stabbings and the cars crashing into crowds, all the small ones have stopped working. Someone said it was something called terrorism fatigue. An article which basically said that people don't react to it anymore because it's become too normal. So I think they're going to go for a big one at some point, another 9/11 or something similar. It reminds you of The Dead Zone. Mel, are you talking about a film with Christopher Walken? He goes into a coma and he wakes up and he's got precognitive powers. Very good film, that. Very good indeed. He does shoot a presidential. He gets shot, but the presidential candidate, he ruins him politically in the end. Yeah. Macron, says Mel, is a criminal Rothschild banker. Yes, he is. I said banker. He is. John Daniels, such an obvious false flag in Syria. Yeah, as I said, he's got nothing to. It's ridiculous to think they would even do it. Luminous blood, Emperor Mong. They use the same line again and again. It keeps working though, doesn't it, Emperor Mong? As long as it keeps working, they'll keep using it. Tink, the Pope's mother was supposed to be a maid of the Rothschild household. Well, is he part of the illegitimate bloodline as well as a Jesuit? I don't know, Tink, but I know that Adolf Hitler's grandmother was a maid in the Rothschild household in Vienna. And she had an affair with Eugene Rothschild and gave birth to Alois Hitler, who was the father of Adolf Hitler. So there's a rumor that was actually the son of Eugene Rothschild, which makes Hitler a Rothschild. Julian Carver. What you're saying, Ben, certainly makes more sense than any of the mainstream news channels I've said. Thank you very much, Julian. I'm glad to hear it. Here we go. I don't know. I'm just trying to get through these. Just find the right place in here. I don't know where the time. Where's the time? No, the time capsule doesn't know where it is. That's a problem. I hope we can find it. The Queen can trace her lineage back to her Muhammad, says Mary. Is that right? I don't know if Muhammad even existed. I mean, it's a book that was obviously written by the Vatican, the Quran. The British bloodline are fake frauds. Yeah. Apparently, there are more blood samples with chlorine in. Oh, right. Well, like I said, they can be doctored like Princess Di. You're right, Iman. That's exactly the truth. I don't believe at the moment anything's happening. Kimberly Clark. Oh, hey there. Hi, Kimberly. You got your ticket? Yes, you have. I hope you can, Kimberly. I hope you can get to Dreaming Saucers. I'm glad you got picked up your ticket. I did send it to you. Be nice to see you there. Russia says Britain and the USA want to attack Syria to flood refugees. Well, that could be a part of it, but it's more likely that they've got something bigger in mind. I think it's connected to the Russophobia thing, which I was talking about last time. Okay, so David, that's where I think they're going with it. Although, of course, if they can, increase this mass movement of people, which I've talked about before, which is all part of this agenda to build a new and authoritarian version of the European Union, yeah, they'll do it. They will do. So I'll go back. Now, there's been a bit of a development. And this is the interesting thing. I remember me saying that I thought Trump's tweet was a cry for help. Trump is very, very crafty. I think there's a part of him that wants to resist this. Obviously, he's going to be concerned for his wife, his children, his grandchildren. He knows he can't jeopardize their lives, but he's trying to do it in the way he can, like the tweet with all the cryptic stuff I talked about before, cryptic cry for help. I think he's hinting. He's trying to say what he needs to say by hinting and get the message out by hinting. Just put out these self-contradictory and really, really, it's almost like a nod, wink, wink. Come on, the Syrian army surrounding them. It's a mindless chemical attack. Come on, guys. He's trying to do it the best way he can, and now he's done something else which indicates something similar. Now, he was dithering an awful lot since the attack on Wednesday. He's been dithering an awful lot. Like yesterday, he was saying we're gonna decide soon what we're gonna do. Military action might be on the table, and I was waiting for the missiles to fly. Every time I came in and switched on the TV or went to a news page, I thought, right, we're going to find out that he's launched some missiles like he did last year. So no, what he's done is, right, listen to this. The Trump's Armada, a huge task force of 12 warships, has set sail for Syria in one of the biggest concentrations of US naval power since the 2003 Iraq invasion. A huge task force of 12 warships has a giant nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, USS Harry S. Truman, 90 aircraft, 5-strong strike group of destroyers and cruisers powering towards the Middle East right now. Now, Trump says he'll be making a Syria decision very soon. He keeps saying this, doesn't he? He's going to make a decision soon. Do you know what he's doing? He's playing for time because these ships. There's a lot of ships. There's the Donald Cook, which was mentioned earlier, the one which the Russians. You said the Russians managed to. Who was it who said that? These are ships that are already there. Sorry, they're believed to be in the Mediterranean. The Donald Cook, the Porter, Carney, Laboon, 2 nuclear-powered submarines, Georgia, John Warner. So there's a lot of ships already there, somewhere in that area. Obviously, the ships it's secret where they are. They're not going to advertise where their presence, but they are somewhere in that area of the sea. So this is a huge carrier battle group. This is cruise USS Normandy, USS Farragut, Forrest Sherman, USS Bugleaf, USS Arleigh Burke. A German ship's going with them as well. And already in position, USS Donald Cook with 60 Tomahawk land attack missiles. Now, this is interesting, isn't it? Because it says here, in April last year, Trump ordered 59 Tomahawk strikes on the Sharat air base in response to a chemical weapons attack on the rebel-held Khan Shaikun. Right. Now, this is very, very interesting. This whole article goes on to just describe some of the hardware that is part of this carrier battle group. Okay, now it says here that the ships. It gives some stats for the ships and how fast they can go. They have a speed of they're going at 25 knots. That's fast for ships. They're going at 25 knots. Now I don't have a map on me. Knot is 1 nautical mile per hour. It's going to take them quite a while to get to the Eastern Mediterranean, probably a week or more. It's going to take them to get there. So what Trump is doing by deploying this carrier battle group to the area is he's playing for time. He's playing for time, and he's doing it by saying that he look, I'm doing something. I'm deploying all these warships. I'm deploying this huge fleet to the area. So I'm doing something, but he's not launching any attacks. If he wanted to launch some attacks, just read what I said about look at the assets he's already got in the area. Where was it? The number of ships that are already there. I think there was Donald Cook, as someone mentioned. It's very interesting. These are ships that are already there. There's 2 submarines, but also the Donald Cook, the USS Porter, USS Carney, USS Laboon. That's 4 ships and 2 submarines in that area right now, somewhere in the Eastern Mediterranean. Trump ordered 59 Tomahawk land attack missiles on last year's attack on the Sharia airbase. Now, he says that the ship Cook has 60 of these missiles. Now, presumably the other ships have a few of these missiles too. Porter, Carney, Laboon, and some submarines. The Georgia, I looked up the USS Georgia. It's a former SSBN, a former ballistic missile strategic nuclear platform. It's now launches land attack cruise missiles. It's especially designed to. It's been adapted to launch land attack cruise missiles, and it can carry up to 24 of them. So, if Donald Trump, what I'm saying here, if Donald Trump really was in a position where he needed to make a decision and to attack Syria now, he would do it now. He has the weapons platforms in the area to do it. He has the ordnance on site in theatre to carry out that attack now. Why hasn't he done it? Why has he deployed this battle group, these carrier battle groups, so he can be seen to do something? This is more cryptic crying for help. Trump is being seen to do something while playing for time. He's sort of not doing this in a doing it kind of way. Do you see what I mean? If anyone tries to accuse him of dithering now, he'll say, look, I've just sent 12 ships into the area. And they won't stop to think, well, hang on a minute. Last time you didn't have to do that. A year ago, you just used the ships that were already there on standby and just got them to fire the missiles. You see what I mean? Let's go through some of your comments. Russia says Britain and USA want to attack Syria to cause a... Okay, I've done that one, sorry. Daffy Duck makes more sense as Eamon than the mainstream news. Yes, he does. He certainly does. My goodness. Actually, I think the Teletubbies make more sense than the mainstream news, quite frankly. Oh, the Donald is going to be the new god. I'll tell you what, TK, if Trump can pull this off and he can fight back, he will. He will win. He will be the greatest president the United States have ever had. He'll go down in history as their greatest president. Love you, Emperor Mong too. Mwah. Emperor Mong says, love you, brother. Mary 444. Apparently the Queen has abdicated to Greg Hallett, and we're in a period of interregnum at the moment. Now the interregnum, that's like when they had Oliver Cromwell as he was the High Chancellor. Who's Greg Hallett? Oh, who is Greg Hallett? Oh, is this the guy who's saying it? I see what you mean. Stephen Bamber, more people need to start talking about the Illuminati. Yeah, that's true. Well, thing is, Stephen, they're using the word deep state, but they mean the same thing as we do when we say Illuminati. Mary says she doesn't look like popping off anytime soon. No, I mean, it's the Tink, you know, it's actually quite frustrating the way you get people like Prince and David Bowie and Michael Jackson, all these people who drop, you know, they drop off the perch like in their late 50s and early 60s. And these immortal scumbags like David Rockefeller, Prince Philip, George Soros, Henry Kissinger, they just linger on and on and on. When are they going to die? Well, David Rockefeller's finally popped off, hasn't he? He's finally gone. Oh, Winnie Mandela died the other day. Oh, did you see that? She was 81. 81 as she died. And everyone's the BBC is saying how wonderful she was. I mean, she's a I can't believe them lauding this gangster's moll as if she's some kind of bloody civil rights heroine. Have they never heard of necklacing? They never heard about the murders she committed. She used to run this. She had this thing called. She had a football team, but they didn't play any football. They were actually just a gang of thugs, and they used to just go around to any town that was thinking of not voting ANC, and they used to drag people out, put a tie around their neck, an empty car tie, fill it with petrol, and set it on fire. That's how she killed people. And there's this little boy, a 14-year-old boy called Stompy, and she personally murdered him with her bare hands. And she was, honestly, man, good riddance to her. Good riddance to her. Diego Rivera says Trump gives the order to bomb Syria by saying you're fired. Yeah, nothing's going to happen, says TK, except plenty of quacking from the Donald. Well, TK, I hope so. Donald Duck is doing a lot of quacking right now, isn't he? And that's good. He's doing it deliberately. See, he's being crafty. He's playing for time. He's saying, yes, I'm going to do something. We're going to make a decision about what to do soon. Right, let's get these ships. Let's get these ships off. Get them out. And then presumably they've sailed from one of the eastern seaboard naval bases like Norfolk, Virginia, and they're heading eastwards now across the Atlantic Ocean. Get your atlases out, and you can see exactly where they're going. And it's a good week to 10 days journey. It's a long way, and no doubt he may well phone up the admiral in charge of the group and just in charge of the fleet and say, look, don't go too fast, will you? Don't rush. Don't spare. Take your time, guys. Have a nice cruise. It's playing for time. I just hope it works. I really do. I really do. Emperor Monk says Andrew Johnson is a Corbynista. Is he? I don't think he is he? I know Andrew Johnson. He's not saying much about Jeremy Corbyn. Jeremy Corbyn, incidentally, if he becomes prime minister, he'll be dead within a couple of months or removed in some way. You wait and see. I'll cover that if and when the time requires it. Yeah, Tink says they are baiting him. It's not his interest to bomb Syria. They are baiting him. They're trying to use it. Who blocked you, Emperor? Andrew Johnson? Okay. We're here to witness great change, says Phuket. I hope so. Russia claimed World War III. Yeah, that's it. You're about the flooding of refugees. Yes. Of course, that may be a part of it, 69 Phuket says the 400 years of slavery. That's right. Well, we're all slaves, Phuket, in one way or another. Andrew Johnson isn't politically astute. Well, I've got my differences with Andrew, but I do respect the guy. 1 week, Ben. It's been reported. Right, Ego does. Is that how long the fleet will take to get on station? Right. So he's got 7 days where he's hoping he can sort something else out. Maybe if he arrests a few more people, maybe, and no one's going to question him now because he'll just say, "Look, we got some ships heading there." He will keep very quiet about the fact he already has the assets in place to carry out this attack if he needs to. He will say, no, we've got some more ships going there first. So we might have to wait a week to see what happens and just hope for the best, I think. That's all we can do. Emperor Mong, I'm sorry you don't get on with Andrew. I mean, I respect his work. I don't know him that well personally. John Daniel, are you aware of the Damascus prophecy in the Bible? I don't, John. I know that, of course, that St. Paul had his conversion while he was traveling on the road to Damascus. And when the angel came down and he suddenly became, he was no longer Saul of Tarsus and he suddenly became this Christian guy. Quack, quack here, quack, quack there. That's right. You could put together a great meme, couldn't you? With Donald Trump, playing for time, like quacking here and quacking there. We're going to send these ships here, and we're going to wait and negotiate there, and we're going to talk about it here. It sounds like indecision, but it's indecision. It's deliberate indecision, you see. He's battling with demons. Yes, he is, Mary. He is battling with demons. Trump says to Assad, you're fired. Yes. Tink says, Trump isn't stupid. 20,000 sealed indictments he has over the pedo rings. Yeah. Well, the fact that he's still alive, Tink, I think means that he does have something like that on them. And we may find it may suddenly come out. And you mentioned Serco. Serco were once described as, what is it, the biggest company in the world that you've never heard of. And Carillion, we talked about that before. I was actually seconded to Carillion when I was a porter, so I know that. Yeah. Now, so we'll see what happens. But I tell you what, we may find out much more. We may suddenly find out if this suddenly goes Trump's way. We may just suddenly find out everything that's been going on over the last couple of years with the arrests and with the stuff that Michael Salah talks about, the missile interceptions, etc., etc. And I just hope that's the case. Mel O'Brien says 36 of the 59 Tomahawks were shot down, and Syria's defenses have been upgraded, and the Russians say the ships that launch missiles will be hit in retaliation. Well, Mel, that obviously means, but remember they've got 6 vessels in the area, so they can still carry out some kind of attack. That's true. But the very fact that the Russians have indeed said that this could lead to a direct confrontation with the United States, they have said that, which is the very thing that we all want to avoid. Yet the globalists seem to want it. They seem to want the US and Russia locked in a massive battle, a standoff which could lead to direct military confrontation, maybe the deployment of nuclear weapons. This is what the whole chemical warfare thing was. Watch my Russophobia live stream, which I did before. There's a link in the show note, in the description box to that. Mel, there are cloning centres in the USA, Dulcie. There they are. They got them at Peasmore here in Britain as well. I made videos about them. Stompy Sepe, I don't know what his surname was, this young lad called Stompy. He was 14 years old, Mel, and he was murdered by Winnie Mandela, along with, well, her gang, her football team, so-called football. They never played any football. Like I said, they were just a bunch of thugs that she was running. She's a gangster's mole. They necklaced like God knows how many people they necklaced. Honestly, thank God she's dead. I mean, she's an absolute cow. Russians S-400, S-800 is the most sophisticated missile defense system in the world, John. Well, that's true. I mean, John, are they using these defense systems in Syria? So are they actually providing direct military aid to Syria? Use babies, yeah. That's right. The cloning things there. That's right. Yes, John. Good riddance to it. The baby Midge, the big Midge. Sorry, hi, big Midge. Zionism is behind it all. Old Ben, nut job. Neat and Nana, not happy. Assad won the war. Well, yeah. I mean, the Israel seems to be central to all this sort of thing. I mean, the whole business with in the Middle East right now is being run through Israel. Definitely. Zionism is just one of the fronts of the New World Order. All dates back to the Balfour Agreement and the war, the Arab-Turkish War, T.E. Lawrence and things like that. It's supposedly Israel is sold upon us as a Jewish homeland. It's actually not a Jewish homeland. It's actually called that, but it's not. It emerged out of the dying days of the British Empire in order to basically control. Oh, it's a big subject. Basically, to basically control the world through the supply of oil and things like that. Tink says Trump tweets match QAnon posts. They do very, very distinctly. I mean, the Trump tweets are fascinating. I'm going to collect them actually and go through them and see if I can spot any more of these coded messages that Trump is putting in there. It's like, what can I think of another example where someone says something they can't say openly, so they say it just in a way which they hope will eventually get through to people. They're saying something different. And John Daniels says, when Trump's missiles are getting intercepted and destroyed, what will he do then? Well, John, I mean, the thing is, if, for example, any kind of airstrike fails, then are the globalists then going to push him for like an invasion? Boots on the ground? Like tanks and infantry on the ground in Syria? A direct warfare with the Syrian army? Oh, dearie me. It doesn't bear thinking about. Okay, I've got any more notes. Okay, there's a few things. There's some more. Alab Alab, hello. Sun Tzu, that's right. The art of war, laying plans, hold out baits, entice the enemy, feign disorder, and crush him. A very interesting book, Alab, which was written, I think, about 2,000 years ago or more. and it's still used. It's obviously still influencing the government today in terms of their strategy. Right, so let's carry on down here. Talking about the ships and then that. So, right, so I do recommend some things to watch out for. Now, the good news is there's lots of people speaking out about this. Lots of people are getting this. It's really broken through to the mainstream big time. Peter Hitchens, a guy I respect very much, he's saying this. He's Peter Hitchens, who I don't have a lot in common with. And you know, he'd probably think I'm crazy. He's saying effectively the exact same thing that I am. There's others like on more on the fringe in YouTube. For instance, Sargon of Akkad. Sargon of Akkad is one to look at. Stefan Molyneux. These people have made excellent, absolutely excellent videos about the crisis in Syria. I do recommend that. Now, Molyneux makes a very good point. Is that the globalists do not care about these chemical warfare attack on these innocent people in Syria. They don't give a damn about that because, as Molyneux rightly points out, the moment Britain, the US, and several other Western nations are basically funding and arming Saudi Arabia in its genocidal war against Yemen. Now, if you go to Yemen, Yemen has been devastated, and I don't know if Saudi Arabia is using chemical weapons, but they're using British-made and American-made bombs to devastate entire regions, entire cities and towns in Yemen. They've been doing it for several years. They bombed schools, they bombed hospitals. Owen Jones, who I have my differences with, made a very good video where he went to Yemen and he examined the atrocities being committed by the Saudi regime in Yemen. Now, there's a very, very interesting debate. Now, it's on the YouTube channel of the Henry Jackson Society. I'll post a link of this. Now, this is a very, very interesting debate. Where is it? Here we go. I'll just find it for you because you'll like this. Here we go. I'll put it in the Spurg chat. Hang on. Where is it? Here we go. Now, this is Piers Robinson. The guy on the right is Piers Robinson. Okay. And the chap on the left is Dr. Alan Mendoza of the Henry Jackson Society. Now, the Henry Jackson Society is a front for Mossad, and it's almost, I don't know for specifically, there's no actual evidence, but I'm almost certain it's a front for Mossad. It's 100% Zionist organization. And you just watch it. You just see how Mendoza behaves when Piers Robinson, the guy on the right, he's a political professor at the University of Sheffield. He says effectively the same thing I've been saying, and lots of other people have been saying, and Peter Hitchens and many, many other people have been saying. He says effectively the same thing. And Mendoza goes, oh, you should feel ashamed of yourself. You're awful. You know, you're an awful man for saying these things, stuff like this. The Henry Jackson Society are desperate for this war. They want this war between Russia and America, I think. But certainly they want this war in Syria. They absolutely do. And it's really a disgraceful interview. But the thing is, Piers Robinson it was on Sky News. Piers Robinson got the word out. He got his word out. That's a good thing. Now, since then, of course, what we got is now Theresa May, the old cow who's running this country. What's she doing now? She's now saying, oh, yes, we'll take leadership from President Trump on this. That's what she's saying, the old bag. And she's consulted the cabinet. She's not going to... Theresa May is not going to have a parliamentary vote. Because do you remember what happened last year? That was funny, wasn't it? Well, it was before that. I think it was 2 years ago. When it always keeps kicking up. They put it to Parliament and Parliament refused. So they're not going to put it to Parliament again, are they? They're not going to risk that. No, the cabinet will make the decision. So they're going to make the cabinet do it. So basically, Theresa May, she may well be ordering British forces into this ridiculous war for nothing. And none of us will have any say in it. And the awful thing is, The awful thing is, I don't know how we can stop them, because do you remember during after the Iraq invasion 2003, there was a massive protest in London. I went on it. 1 million people marched through the streets of London to protest against this war, against Blair and this horrific globalist war against Iraq and Afghanistan after the false flag attack on 9/11. Even most of them didn't believe 9/11 was a false flag, but they still marched against the war. And the government still went to war. They still went and did it. And we all know what happened then. It was a bloody nightmare. It was exactly the disaster that everyone said it would be, and thousands of people were killed. No one cares. The countries are devastated. Nobody cares. And you know what happened in 2005? They re-elected Blair. This is the awful thing. I'll go through some of your comments and then I'll come back to that actually. All right. So who has? Here we go. Where are we? I think I got to about here. So sorry if I missed some of your comments. I'm very sorry. It's just there's so many and a lot of you. Hello, Hunley. Hi, Hunley's joined us. Okay, just gonna. I think I might miss something. If I miss some of your comments, I'm sorry about that. There we go. That's right. I got to that one. Yeah. Lordly Phantasm. I've read a lot of Cold War gone hot fiction. Yeah, I mean, there's some good. I like these sort of spy stories and things like that, and it's a lot. You learn a lot from this sort of fiction. Frederick Forsyth, in particular, I think is very revealing. Death an hour later, it's inevitable. Don't flap it. Oh well, you know what I mean. If it comes down to it, you just got to do the best you can. Diego Rivera says, I think there will be mass protests in the US, UK, and I think it will be mass protests, but it ain't going to do any good, is it? Because they won't care. As John Daniel, 1 million British people marched in London to stop the Iraq war. It didn't do any good at all. It didn't. What's more, in 2005, Blair got re-elected. Oh. There'll be a moment, Tink says, there'll be a moment when the British people wake up and realise that organisers like social services are corrupt. Serco, yep. And Pedo Hub, the Hide the Global Pedo Hub. Tink, I really would like to think it was, but I don't know. I'll say a bit more about that in a minute, actually. Where are we? That's it. All right, here we go. Okay. Stop the war failed. Yeah. Makes you wonder who's behind them. Yeah, well, of course, Stephen, a lot of it was controlled. And Stephen, a lot of the 9/11 truth movement was controlled opposition too. I mean, Andrew Johnson's talked about that. Walk race in the Commonwealth Games. I like that. Hugo Rune. Hey, Hugo. Welcome, Hugo Rune. We know Saudi war in Yemen, but what about the other neighbor, Oman? Hugo, is there fighting in Oman as well? Because I know from geography that Oman is another land-based neighbor of Saudi Arabia. Chile 943. Hello, Chile. How are you? I'm glad you joined us. Nearly forgot. Here we go. Henry Jackson Sounds of Wings. Now, the Henry Jackson Society is this neoconservative think tank based in London. It's named after an American congressman, I believe. I don't know exactly the detail. Hunley says, could the chemical attack be a Mossad operation? Hunley, yes, it could, if it happened at all. Assad. There's been false flag chemical weapons attacks in Syria ever since the start of the war in 2011. I reported on it in her Panmo Voice. One where they've worked out that a British firm had actually been behind it. A British weapons manufacturer was actually supplying chemical weapons to Syrian rebels. It was actually located. Billy Rumans. Hi, Billy Rumans. Theresa May was the best option in the recent elections. How dare you insult her like that? I dare very easily. Edwardian Lady, hey, says Douglas Murray runs the Henry Jackson Society. Well, yes, he is actually the executive director, I believe, of the Henry Jackson Society. Alan Mendoza is like a deputy director or something like that. Douglas Murray, I actually read his book and actually thought it was quite good. That's The Strange Death of Europe. He has a lot of interesting insights, Murray. The problem with Murray is he does not understand what's going on, the reasons why the things he talks about are happening. He seems to think it's simply something that's almost happened by accident or an inevitable result of liberal piety gone wrong within Europe. When the truth of the matter is, it's being engineered by the government. The whole thing is being set up deliberately. You know, immigrants and stuff like immigrants are not being allowed to come into Europe. They are being brought in to Europe by the government. Radical Islam is not just being allowed to grow, it is being made to grow. It's happening. The government are funding it. The government are bringing in Saudi hate preachers. They're allowing that. Well, they're actually bringing in Saudi money to build these mega mosques with the cooperation of the Saudi Arabian government, which they are arming, which is an ally of the West. It's an ally of Israel and of the United States and Britain in the Middle East. And they're actually deliberately creating mega mosques, these indoctrination radicalism factories in the heart of British cities. And that's something that Douglas Murray doesn't realize. So he's got part of the picture, but not all of the picture. 69 Phuket says, right honourable old bag. Lordly Phantasm. Theresa May is Trump's stool pigeon. No, Lordly Phantom, he's not. She's not. Theresa May is the globalist stool pigeon. Trump is, she's pretending to take orders from Trump. She's taking orders from the globalists. And the right honourable old bag, as 69 Phuket calls her, is just putting on an act. The thing is, Trump unfortunately has been co-opted, but I think there's a part of the thing. Trump is trying to find a way out of this. He's trying to fight back. And he's doing it in very, very, very cryptic and covert ways. And I just hope he'll be all right. I hope he will. He must have some kind of dirt on them, some kind of dead man's trigger to prevent them taking him out or his family out. It's something like, you know, kill me and these hit the internet or something like that. Here we go. Let's go for it. It hurts to watch it. Yeah. Hi, James Lynch. Of any country. Oh, where are we? I've just lost my place. Sorry. I've got to go back a bit. John Daniel. Of any country that needs regime change, it's Britain. Our establishment is so corrupt. Right. Now we come on to it. If protesting in the streets doesn't work, if 1 million people protesting through London doesn't stop this attack on Syria, if it goes ahead, 2 million aren't going to stop it, 3 million are not going to stop it. We know that, as I said, in 2003 it was done and it didn't stop the war. It didn't stop Blair getting re-elected. He still got into power. So what I think regime change is not always a bad thing. In fact, it's sometimes necessary. In fact, the US Declaration of Independence actually and the Bill of Rights actually says this. Either one of those documents actually says that there is a legitimate role for regime change within a nation state. It actually says that the US citizens have the right to remove their government by force if that government breaches the Constitution. So what about our government? Our government has breached the nearest thing Britain has to a constitution, which is the Magna Carta. It's breached it hundreds of times. It's breached it continuously throughout its history. Do we not have the right to remove our government by force? And I'll say more about that in a minute. I just want to go through more of your. I don't want to miss these comments. Vanya Patterson, if we went for a parliamentary vote, Theresa May would only get away with her DUP vote. Yes. I can't imagine expecting the DUP to vote for that. No, I don't think they will back her up on this. And what's more, her majority is now so tiny with this coalition, this very awkward coalition she has with these nut jobs from Northern Ireland, that she knows she can't win Parliament over. So she just bypasses Parliament and makes a cabinet decision. It's like the Ramonas. They're doing the same thing. The Ramonas are saying, we don't want Britain to come out of the EU. We know that the British people decided to come out of the EU, but the British people shouldn't be allowed to have their way. The government should step in and should force the British people to not have their way. Or at least these horrible white working class men, these white van drivers, you know, not nice middle class leftists like us, you know, that kind of thing. That's what they're basically saying, these damn Ramonas. Neil Austin says, David Kelly's grave should have a tachometer fitted. What's a tachometer? Something to do with speed. It's measuring speed. What's that? So what's that, Neil Austin? Stephen Bamber. Thing is, the SAS will already be on the ground and a SEAL team. All right, you're talking about special forces. Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt they'll have special forces behind enemy lines already. Yeah. Elites just want to depopulate the world, says Mary. Correct, they do. That's a big subject, but yes, they do, in a word. Theresa May, says V8. Remember walking, she looks like she's just spinning at 10,000 RPM. Oh, I see it turning in his grave. I get it now. Get it. Yeah, I mean, poor old David Kelly, murdered by the bloody, probably MI5 did it. But there's no way he slit his wrists. I mean, Dave Bartlett, the paramedic, I know him, and he made it pretty clear he didn't bleed to death. Dave has seen many people bleed who've bled to death. He has had the misfortune of that just difficult duty of taking bodies after who bled to death, and he knows what it looks like. Yeah. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, says Tink, all under the arms of the umbrella, trafficking children under data protection laws. Yeah, I mean, old Mark Zuckerberg he was grilled, wasn't he, the other day? I've not seen that video of him being grilled yet. I've got to see that at some point. E-Man, if Douglas Murray runs a Zionist organization, decry Islam, especially radical Islam, and back them at the same time. Well, this is the E-Man, this is the weird thing, isn't it? I think Douglas Murray, I don't think he's actually I don't think he's a bad guy, actually. I think he's an unknowing. I think he's a useful idiot. Not that he's an idiot, but he's just got the wrong idea, and he's being used. That's the thing. Here we go. Phuket says 50 years on this weird dreamy thing. It amazes me how we watch reports. Syria has oil, says John Daniel, but it isn't a big producer. Oh, it's the pipe. They want the pipeline through the country. Yes, John, that's right. It's a gas pipeline, and it's from that same area. That area. It's exactly the same gas field. That's the Central Asian gas field, by the Caspian Sea, which the whole business over Afghanistan was. This is why they wanted the Taliban out of Afghanistan in 2001, because they wanted a pipeline that ran all the way from the Caspian Sea to Karachi, Pakistan, where it could be the harbour there, and that's what the Taliban wouldn't let it through, which is why they invaded Afghanistan to remove the Taliban. Now the pipeline's going the other way. It's going westwards from the Caspian Sea. If you go to Google Maps, if you wonder where I'm talking about, leading westwards from the Caspian Sea, where you come to basically the Near East area, Israel, Lebanon, Syria, that area. The idea is for this is actually it's also planned to go through Turkey and supply the EU. It's going to supply the EU with oil and gas. That's the plan, and we all know what a wonderfully benevolent democracy the European Union is, don't we? Not. Just in case my sarcasm went over your heads. E-Man says Corbyn is easily a better option than May. Yes, he is. Corbyn, I think, as much as I disagree with him politically, I think he's an honest man, and an honest man is like gold dust in politics. It's like you think about politicians. I mean, there's just such despicable people. When Corbyn comes along, it's a guy actually with a brain in his head and a heart in his chest and a pair of balls in his pants, in a profession where the amputation of all three of those extraneous parts are almost qualification for office. He stands out like a jewel in a dung heap. The problem with Corbyn is, though, he's not going to last long. I said this on a previous live stream, I think, actually. If he becomes Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, Diane Abbott, Yvette Cooper, and all these other people, these utter scum that are his second echelon people, they're going to ride into power on his slipstream, and then the knives will come out, and it'll be an et tu brute situation, and he's going to be lying in the back benches with all those knives in his back, and we could end up with Diane Abbott as Prime Minister. Can you just imagine that? If that happens, I'm going to emigrate. I'll tell you what, I will. I'll flee this country like a Jew fleeing Nazi Germany, because I'll tell you what, I'll end up the same way. Anthony Moore, up the revolution. Tony Blair's a paedophile. Yes. Isn't Linda Lovelace head of the Deep State? I think that's Deep Throat, Vanya. Hunley says, yep, I was just going to say that Ben the J Porter has its own momentum now. Oh, I'm glad. I am on a roll now. I've been going for almost an hour and a half now, Hunley, and I don't feel tired. I'll stop the live stream when I run out of things to talk about. Tink says the owner of Backpage has done 97 counts of child abuse. It seems to be everywhere, doesn't it? Nancy Pelosi and Hillary profited from. Yes, that's right. Controlled by the shadow government. Oh, don't start me on about reset. I've done the thing about the. Look at my shill specials, the shill squad. I talk about reset in that. Chile. Any plans to do anything with Nick Colostrum again, Ben? Right. Well, I hope so. The good news is, since I made that Is There Any Hope video, I am on speaking terms with Nick. Well, we've been exchanging emails, so we haven't exactly made up, but we are at least in dialogue. Okay, so hopefully we can sort it out. Whatever it is, we can sort it all out and get back to normal, because I miss him so much, Chile. I really do. And the thing I did in Newcastle, I'm so proud of that. And we both did a fantastic job. And everyone there, the group, the Conspiracy Cafe in Newcastle, they just loved us being there. They were absolutely wonderful people. And the good news is I'm going back to see them again next week. Yay! I'm going back to see the Conspiracy Cafe people, but it's not quite the same. I might not be able to film what I'm going to go and see. But what they've invited me there to do, we're going to go and see Richard D. Hall next weekend. But before that, I'm doing a talk at a private event. It's actually in someone's house. It's a private event only so I can't advertise it or invite anyone. It's invitation of the organizer only. But I'm really pleased to be going back there. It's a long journey, but I do like it. Iman Padima. They want to control the supply of oil. That's right. And the thing is, now it's natural gas as well as oil. Gas is actually becoming more and more important these days. And yes, it is indeed. Ego dust. Syria is basically a province of Iran. If Syria is attacked, the terror cells will be activated all over the Western world. Well, maybe that's the idea, Ego dust. Maybe that's what they want. TK, my local MP is like an orange with a suntan oil. Right. Well, TK, maybe it's Donald Trump's brother or something. It's got to be. Hi, it's got to be. Welcome. Trump could be using iodine on his skin. Maybe. Mel O'Brien. Blair was on Irish TV yesterday and they were kissing his ass. He should have been arrested and shipped off for war crimes. Yes. Have you ever seen The Ghost or The Ghost Writer? That's a good film. It's based on a book. I've got the book here somewhere. I've got a copy of the book somewhere. It's got Ewan McGregor in, and what's his name? Pierce Brosnan. That's very good. That is. It's sort of like it's all about Blair. Hunley, white phosphorus was supplied by the UK. Yeah, white phosphorus, horrible stuff. It's basically an incendiary bomb that just sticks to everything and burns it. And yeah, and the Saudi have had it. They've been using it all over the world, and it's basically been supplied by America, by Britain. It's been supplied to all these oppressive regimes. Saudi Arabia will be nothing without the foreign aid they're getting. Same with Israel. Was it on Mark Collett? I was looking at Mark Collett's video on the. Mark Collett is another one. He's done another excellent video all about Syria. I don't agree with him on everything, actually, but he's absolutely right what he says. He describes Syria as the ultimate welfare queen. So Hunley, who is it? Phuket says survivors will have the hard task of bunker hunting. Now, I don't think there's going to be any survivors from this. If it goes ahead, I think that will be a real excrement now. Stephen Twigg is his name, and he's orange. Stephen Twigg, TK. Let's see. Let's have a look at him. I'm just going to Google his name. He is orange, yes. Is that your MP? He's totally orange. Yes, that's a bloody Trump lookalike, mate, there. V8 Moore says, I just accepted that Trump is jaundiced. Maybe he is. Maybe it's the stress, it's got to him. A nasty shock can make you jaundiced because yeah. Tink, 1, 2, 3. Ben, don't want to get into trouble, but has the online bullying attacks towards you now stopped? Hope certain person I can't name. Hope so. I was worried about you. Tink, unfortunately not. And that's the problem. I'll say more about that at the end. Mary, people are trying to do a citizen's arrest on, yeah. think so. John Daniel, I think that Douglas Murray kind of stops short of saying what's really causing it. Yes, he does. Because he would immediately be deemed a racist and Islamophobe like Tommy Robinson. He steps the line only. I don't think that's the reason, actually. He stops short of saying what's really causing it because I don't think he knows, John. I don't think he's quite grasped the information that I've talked about. He won't go there. He still puts it. He's very similar to Tommy Robinson. In fact, he's sometimes called the posh Tommy Robinson. He puts it all down. He says basically this is basically well, the Western world has been basically weakened by liberal piety, and the active role has been playing by this global jihad, this conspiracy, this international conspiracy of Muslims to take over the West that's been running since the Crusades. This is Douglas Murray and Tommy Robinson's point, both of them. And I think they're wrong for the reasons I've just said. They've identified a situation, that is the radicalization problem, the grooming gangs and things like that, but they don't realize what the cause is. They don't realize that it's not the government, it's not a weak government that's allowing it to happen. It's a government that knows exactly what it's doing and it's making it happen. And until that is understood, we're never going to actually put a stop to it. And organizations like the English Defence League, unfortunately, are acting as controlled opposition. Through no fault of their own. Tommy Robinson is a honourable, I think he's a sincere guy, but there's people behind the EDL, they're the ones who are, they're not so, there's people connections to Mossad and things like that. Albert Pike, Tink 103, yeah. World War III. That's right. We're a bit late, but he said, Albert Pike, 33rd degree Freemason. Remember, I think it was the Ku Klux Klan. He said, year 2000, there'd be the New World Order. Well, they're a few years behind, but they're still on track. The San Andreas State Police is here. Right. You come to arrest me. Don't understand your hatred for Theresa May. It's better than homophobe Tim Farron or Lib Dem, by far better than the mythical storyteller Jeremy Corbyn of the Labour Party. Well, I mean, ideally, my hatred for Theresa May is because she is exposing herself as a globalist stooge. Stan Andreas State Police, totally and utterly, completely. And I've lost my place again. Where are we? Okay. Oh, there we go. Where are we? Where? Oh, hang on. Okay. Hugo Roon. Okay. Oman has traditionally had problems with Yemen. And I know they hate the Saudis, so I don't know if they cooperate with Saudi by attacking Yemen. I hope not. I hope not. Ben loves Hugo, I really do. Ben loves the Donald, said TK. Well, I haven't given up on Trumpy. I still think he could pull it off. If he can't, then no one can. It's that simple. It's either him or no one. Right. How do I do this? Oh, come on. Iman Paduima. Oh, God, I'm losing me. Fanatical Muslims are fighting proxy wars. Yes, they are. Theresa has no children or grandchildren. She's got nothing to lose. Yeah. John Daniel. Russian television is telling people what supplies they need to stockpile. Oh, God. They see they're as frightened as anyone else. Theresa May father, top elite pedo in Oxford. Yeah, Sally, that's where I am. Paul W, thank you. He's loving the stream. I know it's 3 million, couldn't stop it. I know. Okay, right. Simon Tucker. The videos I've seen so far calling chemical attack don't look too bad. Yeah, I mean, they look no worse than people sprayed with CS gas on police camera action. That's true. It's CS gas is just this. It's basically just tear gas. It's designed to make your eyes water and things like that. And they just it's look like the people in the hospital are using like garden hose pipes to wash down these children. You see children, obviously they're in distress, like they're having trouble opening their eyes and things like that. And there's been reported they're having trouble breathing. But yeah, that's it. Call for a general election, Ben. Oh, I wish. Boycott them en masse, says Hunley. Yeah. Yes, man, but they have water poured over them. That's not a very good, that's not very good. Do the doctors and nurses get any of this stuff on themselves? Now, the Oxford paedophile ring is very disturbing, Tink. And I mean, Brian Gerrish has talked about this. Oh, one of them was a portrait at my hospital. I remember that. The millions of people in the street must stay there. Now, this is an interesting point, Mel. I'm going to talk about that. Edwardian Lee, we need to stock up on tar and feathers and pitchforks. We damn well do. The American Bill of Rights, says Anthony, is not worth the paper it's written on. Same goes for the Magna Carta. Good band, though. Well, it's at the moment, they might as well get rid of it. The way that the government are actually addressing it and running the country according to it, yeah, totally. There we go. The UK needs to get rid of the monarchy, says Tink. Yeah. Honestly, I mean, this is from It's Got to Be. It says calling for an early election, no confidence in Theresa May. That is an option. My only hope is that this might help Jacob Rees-Mogg get into the Tory leadership. Yeah, and that's what I really do hope, because that would be. Mogg is essentially the equivalent of he's the Tory equivalent of Jeremy Corbyn. But unlike Corbyn, I think if he became Prime Minister, he wouldn't be so easy to unseat, because people within his party would back him up. The people in Labour will never back up Corbyn. In fact, they're using Corbyn. The people, like I say, like Diane Abbott, and a horrible. She's a revolting person, and she's a racist, and she is a liar. And she and these other scumbags, Andy Burnham, Yvette Cooper, they're using Corbyn. Jacob Rees-Mogg would unite the party behind him, and he wouldn't be so easy to unseat as Corbyn will be. So if Rees-Mogg can become Tory leader, and then Tories, the thing is, if he becomes Tory leader, they'll win, because he'll give the people what they want. And as I said, they won't be able to rig the election to stop it. They couldn't rig the Brexit one. But that's our only chance, I think. John Daniel, Americans still have their Second Amendment gun rights in order to remove the government by force. Yes. What do we have? That's a good question. And this is why the government are trying to take away. They're trying to attack those rights now. They're using the various school shootings and things like that. Whether these shootings are real or not, they're using them. But what about us? What do we have? We're a disarmed population here in Britain. This is the problem. This is one of the problems. Scotland, says Honey, we want independence. Yeah, I hope you do, but Honey, if you go for independence again, it's got to be independence from the EU as well as from the UK. I want a Beretta, says. Yeah, I know. We need to arm. Armaments is maybe this is what I'll come on to, whether we need something sort of thing. Diego Rivera says, Ben, what is the end game in your opinion? I don't know. Iran will be next. God knows how they're going to do it. They seem to be merging different tactics together now. The Russophobia thing is a very, very new thing. It's a very, very new tactic they're trying. E-Man, Dr. Richard Shepherd was the coroner that overruled the other medics asking for an inquest on David Kelly. Interesting track record. Oh, I've heard that name, Dr. Richard Shepherd. Where have I heard it before? 69 Foucault says Prince Caspian. Now, what do you say that, Prince Caspian? Prince Caspian is one of the books of the Tolkien. No, it's not Tolkien. It's C.S. Lewis, The Chronicles of Narnia. It's the fourth book in the series. Why do you say that? Ting, 1, 2, 3. Lordly correct. They hide the Dunblane, Rotherham, Newcastle, Telford. Yeah. C.S. Lewis, that's right. Diana the Spy in the Bag, David Kelly, Joe Cox, Richard Kelly. Was it? Oh, right. Was involved in those cases. Was he? I think he's the MI5. Right. That's interesting. That's what I heard. Doctor. Now, Joe Cox, of course, was set up. It was staged. Whether Cox died, which she might have done, she was not She was not killed by this guy Thomas Mayer. I know because Nick Colliston went to the trial. Dr. Richard Shepherd. That's it. That's an interesting story, man. Yeah. Tink is talking about the social service cases for the past 50 to 60 years. Yes, indeed. Villanora. Hi, Vrilon. Thanks for joining us. I'm leaving on the first plane for Russia. Honestly, I mean, if Diane Abbott becomes Prime Minister, I'm going to go to Russia, I'll tell you. Yeah, James Lynch. Diane Abbott is a racist pig. She really is, yes. And it would be a nightmare, Vrilon, if she became Prime Minister. Thing is, Diane Abbott is not part of the New World Order. She's far too stupid to have anything to do with the Illuminati. She can't even add up simple numbers. And she's actually been caught out in interviews getting basic mathematics wrong. But she is a very, very malleable and manipulatable person who wouldn't think the Illuminati could make her do anything they wanted. They could just say, oh, it's about removing the white patriarchy or something, and she would just say, all right, I'll do it. They wouldn't even need to explain how it's removing this alleged white patriarchy. It doesn't exist, incidentally. You just got to watch The Privilege Myth by Dr. Jordan Peterson. It doesn't exist. But they will say that's what it is, and then Diane Abbott will go, okay, that'll be good. But Neil Austin and Vrillon, these are Hapanmo radio listeners, and I'm glad you joined me on Hapanmo TV. I really am. E-Man, okay. John Daniel, establishment paedophilia scandal is just the tip of the iceberg. If the whole truth came out, it would rock and shock the UK to its core. John, you'll see people weeping in the streets when it comes out, and it has to come out one day. It has to, because it can't go on. I mean, there's a kind of karma thing here. The end of the New World Order, the transitional period to the post-Illuminati world is not going to be pleasant. It's going to be the worst and it's going to be the most tortuous and tumultuous thing that humanity has ever experienced. My new book is going to be all about that. The one after Roswell Rising and Roswell Revealed, the third book in the trilogy, is going to be all about that. Hunley says, I wonder how Antarctica is this time of year. Oh, yeah. Did you hear me on Kev Baker the other night? We were talking about Antarctica. Lib Dems and Greens, no, they are not much better, Lordly Phantasm. Lib Dems completely sold out when they joined the coalition with the Tories. The Greens are all climate change believers who will go along with Agenda 21. Yes, they will. Which is depopulation, eventually. Depopulation and basically extreme control of the economy, mass global communism. That's where the Green Party will take us. Vanya Peterson, Muslim immigration, cattle fodder for white man's colonial wars. Vanya, that's 200 years ago, yes, but not now. It's not like that now. Villanora says, can you get done for love speak? Oh, I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can. And it's invitation only. That's right. You can't get there. If you remember, I've done a video about this, but there was it's the Jack of the Antarctic video. Check that out. Correct. Tink says, John, correct. This international scam run by Serco. Yeah. Real-time Zulu feeder via London, the key to all of this. Read a strategy for Israel in the 1980s by Ola Yinon, says Vincere. Hello, Vincere. How are you? It's the Grand National tomorrow, is it, TK? All right. Well, I haven't put a bet on yet. Flat Earth and planes can't store fuel. All right. Oh, this is the planes without fuel business. I remember you telling me about that. Was it you who wrote to me about that, Phuket? Because I remember I had some emails by someone who was saying that planes can't carry the fuel they have, so they have some other means of getting around. I didn't look into that detail. Queen Victoria had a son, the blind King George. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's the thing about Queen Victoria. I'll tell you what, if the new baby, Kate and William and Kate's new baby, is it a boy or girl? Because if it's a girl, I bet you anything. I'm going to go down to Ladbrokes or William Hill, and I'm going to put a bet on this. I bet you anything it'll be called Victoria if it's a girl. I'll probably make another video explaining why, if it's not a boy and when that happens. Is there a Russian horse running? Oh my God, Neil Austin. Well, not now. If there was one, someone will have broken his legs. The poor thing. Tink 123. A similar situation in the USA with Johnny Ghosh. Yes, this is the young boy who turned up. He disappeared when he was about 12 years old and turned up later working in a brothel which was frequented by the senior political figures in the White House, and he had a different name. I think it was Johnny Guckett or something, but he turned up as age 32 working as a male prostitute for male officials in the government. Bunker Hunter. TK, you have an MP who was a clone of Trump. You better go and tell him. Too much speed and whiskey. They should send Diane Abbott to Syria. Oh, Neptune returns. Oh, my goodness me. Honestly, I'd love to see these people who talk about war and things like that actually put on a tin hat and pick up a rifle and go and fight them themselves. They never do they? They just bring in the draft lottery and they send young men off to die. That's what they do. It's always the way, isn't it? If you know that song by Paul Hardcastle, 19, it was about the Vietnam War, because the average age of the soldiers, the American soldiers in Vietnam, was just 19 years old. They were just 19, teenagers sent off. I mean, and as the song goes by Steve Earle, 1 in 10 never came back again. Some of them came back without their legs and without their arms, and that's war. That's the reality of war. I've seen it. I had to deal with it at the bloody hospital. The injured troops used to come into my hospital. I had to deal with it. Is Diane Abbott going to come? Is she going to come and help me? If she doesn't want to fight in the war, is she going to put on a porter's uniform and come and help me? No. She wouldn't dare. She'd say, there's too many white people in this hospital. I don't want to be there. This is the level these politicians are at. This is why, when you meet someone like Trump and like Jeremy Corbyn and Jacob Rees-Mogg, they are like jewels in a dung heap. And as Trump said, you work in a paint shop, you get splattered. It's the most difficult thing to be a decent politician and be an honourable person as a politician in today's world. It's got to be the most dangerous and most difficult job you can do. Vincere Altomore. You Scottish people get everywhere, don't they? Let's see, the US announced last year that we were changing our strategy in Syria, moving away from regime change, and then Assad gets to gas his people. Yes, correct, exactly. It won't be televised. Then about a week ago, Trump announces he's pulling out of Syria, and then Assad gasses his people. Exactly. There we go. The ultimate deterrent, says Diane Abbott is. There we go. 515 Aintree. Oh, that's the thing. Guided missile destroyer USS Nietzsche operates in the Mediterranean Sea. An Arleigh Burke class guided missile destroyer USS Donald Cook. Yeah, that's right. Well, Vincere, they actually have the assets there. Trump is not going to use. Trump is actually sending reinforcements, which are going to take about a week to get there. And that gives him. This gives him breathing space. It gives him time to try and sort this out without actually doing the strike, which he doesn't want to do. But the globalists are trying to goad him into doing it. What he's doing now, he's being made to see. He's making himself look like he's doing something when he's not. Yeah, the Johnny Ghost case should have been front page news. And I've lost my place again. Where are we? Okay. Catch up, Ben. I know. The Salisbury site. Here's Stephen Bamber. This is interesting because Stephen told me about this, because Stephen was in her Panmo radio chat box last night. The Salisbury site, where I used to feed the birds, is closed down. What happened to the poor birds? Yeah. So what happened to the... Is that place still closed? So they're not letting people in it? Right. Ego Dust. We have evidence of UK's role staging the doom of provocation. Russian MOD. All right. Well, there you are. Yes, about Joe. That there's Mary. The Joe Cox thing is incredibly crooked. The trial of Thomas Mayer was a joke. Nick Colostrum has completely taken it apart. Phuket says, "I need a secretary." Yes, preferably a blonde, leggy one. Yeah. Tink123. C.S. Lewis, Aldous Huxley, Orwell. All our authors were part of a secret society. Freemasons, Fabians. Well, no, Huxley was in the Fabians. So was Orwell. Well, no, sorry, I was thinking of H.G. Wells. H.G. Wells was in the Fabians. Orwell was in the Fabians. But I think the thing is, Orwell was trying to get the word out cryptically, the way that Trump is, writing 1984. This is why I write allegorical fiction. Joe Cox's father, part of the forensic team. Hitler was awesome but lost. Hitler was a Rothschild, Emperor Monk. The Russians already gave USS Donald Cook a pasting. A lot of sailors needed therapy afterwards. What did they do, Mel? Was this where they sent... Oh, this was where... Was it like the woodpecker signal? They actually sent electromagnetic beams to make people sick. Sandy Hook just became before the Smith-Modernization Act. Yes. That was interesting. Stephen Bamber. C.S. Lewis's books are brilliant. They certainly are. Vincere Ottomore, our Scottish friend, is back again. Useful idiot. Yes, right. Stephen King. Thomas Sheridan's new book is pretty good, says Frillon. I've not read it yet. I have to ask. Emperor Mong. Ben should be in a nice place. Well, I'm at home right now, which is quite a nice place, thanks, Emperor Mong. I've actually got a nice new room, which is pretty good. Thomas does great works on psychopaths. He does. And Anthony Moore. I wonder if there are chemtrails over Antarctica. I don't know. I haven't seen any. It's got to be. Caroline Lucas run away from the guy who asked about chemtrails. That's right. She did. Caroline Lucas, incidentally, her husband is a guy called Mr. Savage. I only know him as Mr. Savage because he was my English teacher at school. Where are we? Neil Dunson, hello. Victor Omori. When the US launches the missile attacks against strategic targets in Syria, well, I hope they won't. Russia will respond by taking out the Navy vessel that launches the attack, and it escalates very quickly from there. Well, that's what I'm afraid of in Syria. That's what I'm afraid what might happen. This is what Trump's afraid of. And this is the problem, isn't it? Alan McVicker. Hello, Alan. Evening. Vanya Patson. I would live in a world where there's white, fluffy clouds. Yeah, so would I. We've got clouds here, but they're not white and fluffy. They're covering the whole damn sky. The Grand National is very occultic, is it? Oh, I know they sacrifice horses there. That's the thing. David Schultz, greetings, Ben. Good show. Hello, David. Thank you. Remember Tink. What? There we go. None of the horses named will win the Grand National. I was able to predict winners. Oh, 40 horses were killed in races. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry to hear that. If you got a tip, then let me know. But I mean, I don't. Yeah. Maybe the deaths of horses are the sacrifices, and I think it's awful, man. I do. Stephen Bamber. I'm joining the Flat Mars Society. You complete nutter. Vincere Amore. Judging based on what's trending on Twitter, we are going to war. God help us when the Cowboys is trending more than something like no more wars, something to that effect. We have truly lost our way. Well, I mean, right now, hopefully... Vincere, right now, hopefully Trump is I hope he's thinking of something. I really do, because he's got a week. He's got the time it takes those ships to get to the Mediterranean, that fleet that he's just deployed. Stephen Bamber, Hitler was working for the Illuminati. He was. Hitler was a Rothschild, like I said. Yes. I know he's just, some people on the alt-right think he's like a hero. I think he's I think he wasn't doing what he was told, but I don't think he was on our side. Vincere, maybe it's well deserved that the coming tragedy war is upon us. Well, unfortunately, Vincere, if it happens, who's going to be surprised? People are going to be upset. People are going to be horrified. No one's going to be surprised. Well, I mean, some people might, but I won't be. And there is an element where I do have to lose. I do have to wonder how much more compassion I can feel for humans and the human race. Now, I'll come to that at the end. When I've gone through your comments, I'll come to that actually, because I want to say a few more things before the end. Marrying about Serco. I heard Prince William is a secret owner of Serco. Oh, and now owns Obamacare. I don't know. Villanora, old soldiers never die, just the young ones. Yeah, the old ones just become politicians. And I've lost my bloody place again. Oh God. Is Booth illicit there? I don't know. I'll just go back. All this war, Psychos will be out 11th of November to buy our poppies. Now, have you seen that poppy wave thing? I posted this on Facebook. Check this out. Where is it? This is sick. This is absolutely disgusting. Have a look at this. I'll post it in the Spurg chat. This has just been put up in Hampshire. It's by that guy who did I think it's the same guy who did the blood thing. It is blood. It's a blood sacrifice. Just look at this. I just put it in the Spurg chat. That is a blood. It's blood. It's a blood effigy, which is what war is. War is a Luciferian sacrifice of millions of young men in the trenches and in the Great War. Ben, hit the reset button on the comment stream. No, I don't want to hit. No, I want to go through your comments, guys, if I can. Remember elites, Clintons, yeah. Emperor Mole. I'm Tiger Fighter. Oh, use Castrol GTX. I think Cliff Richard is guilty, says Mary. Well, yeah. Steve Murray. Oh, yeah, Steve Murray is. I've not looked at his videos for a while. I should. Vincere Atomore. Trump is no longer in control. I don't think he is, you know. The takedown plan started the moment he was elected. Now they have him boxed in. Unfortunately, Vincere, I think that's true. In fact, the takedown plan began long before he was elected. They tried desperately to stop him getting into power. And now I just hope, I think there's a part there. He has a plan. I know he has a plan. These arrests, these secret arrests are part of the plan. This ship, what he's doing now with the fleet, as part of the plan. But is it enough? I agree with Michael Salla. There are people on the inside trying to help him. There's a secret war going on. But what can we do? I mean, if there's something I can do, I'll do it. But I don't know what. 69 Phuket. Ben, they're gradually feeding us dopamine, flat earth, air compressors, fuel. Oh, that is the plane thing, yeah, the plane fuel thing, yeah. I don't believe in the flat earth. Oh. Tink, Tavistock Beetle scam, yeah, the crazy who operated pedophile drug rings. We're all just mere monkeys, says Paul W. Well, we are primates, yes, but Booth Illicit is back. Hello, Boother. I've not seen you for a while. How are you getting on? Booth Illicit is a graffiti artist from Oxford. Well, he did put one piece of graffiti on a bridge. It's now a disused bridge over the River Isis in Oxford. It says peace and socialism. I showed it you on one of my videos, I remember. But anyway, welcome back, Booth Illicit. 1984, he says, was about 1948 England and how Orwell thought things were going. It's not about communism or whatever. It's a common misconception. Well, it certainly was, Booth, I think it was certainly about, I think he was trying to give word about the future. I think he was giving out a warning about the future. Now, E-Man says, I think even Huxley might have been half warning us. Well, look at Brave New World, E-Man. And the funny thing about, there's this strange bit of trivia. I think most people have heard about this nowadays, but Aldous Huxley was George Orwell's school teacher when he was at Eton College, when he was a kid. Now, what I wouldn't give to be a fly on the wall during some of their after-class discussions. Can you just imagine what they were talking about? Sing 1, 2, 3. There's a query. He was from Portugal. Podesta, Clement Freud. Oh, the Madeleine McCann thing. Yes, I do recommend. Have you seen Richard D. Hall's Madeleine McCann series covered up by the mainstream media? Do watch it. Mr. Savage married to Caroline Lucas. Small world. Vanya. Yes, he was my English teacher at school. Booth Illicit. I know a lot of people leaping on. Orwell was a leftist. He knew ultimately where he's coming from. Well, Orwell was a democratic socialist, and he was opposed to Stalinism. I think the Emmanuel Goldstein figure was Leon Trotsky in the book, like the snowball pig in Animal Farm. Where are we? Talk about Syria. Now, Mel O'Brien. There's an article in Nexus. So begins many fascinating statements. A Russian secret weapon called Kabini disabled electronics on the Donald Cook. All right. Oh, okay, hang on a sec. Here we go. I've got the very thing here. Oh, let's have a look. I'll have to look at it at a different time, but I've got the latest Nexus here. I'll have a look through it. Booth Illicit. All right, okay. Julian Carver. I've lost my place again. Hang on. Where are you? Julian Carver. Hang on, here we go. It seems we only get one day of sunshine a week due to chemtrails. So we're lucky to get a day. I think occultism gets a bad rap, says E-Man. Occult just means secret. It can be, you know, it can be used for good or bad. Don't mess with the occult. Okay. I'm here a long time. Hello, Boother. Yeah, it's good to see you back, Boother. I thought you might have disappeared from YouTube altogether. There we go. White Fluffy Cows reminds me of, God, I can't remember their name. Paul, I think you're talking about the that song by the band that the KLF became. What was it? One of the guys from the KLF. Little Fluffy Clouds. Little Fluffy Clouds. What was it? What was the name of the band? Oh, God, I can't remember. But they were great. They got this band. They've got an album called UF Off. There's a lot of UFO type stuff on that. The occult philosophy is basically what David Icke says. Everything exists in mind, objective idealism, in other words. Yeah, it can be good or it's not. It's morally neutral. I'm sorry that link doesn't work. I really am. I don't have time to post it again. Here we go. Dean Radin, says Eman, has pretty much proved that consciousness collapses the way function two-slit experiment. Yeah, he does. That's it's in What the Bleep Do We Know. It's very, very odd that. It's the observer effect of quantum physics. We're boring you to death, says Emperor Mong. No, you're not. Even if you're talking to me, no. Tink, the Bible tells you that the phrase "in the beginning was the word." Is it? I think it was in the beginning was void. I think is the word. Only the Earth isn't flat; it's pear-shaped. Well, it is kind of like an oblate spheroid, so it's not a complete sphere. I think that's right. The only way, Vincere says, the only way to stop coming wars is for people to protest in mass, but this will not happen. No, it won't. And I think it's going to take more than just protests, Vincere. I think it's going to, I'll say more about that at the end. But, yeah, here we go. Emperor Monk said, I had to sell my RDH ticket. I'm sorry to hear that. That's a shame. I've got mine. I've lost my place again. Where are we going? So you had to sell that. 5G says, yeah, I'll cover that another time, Fouquet. But yeah, I've got a lot to say about that. I want to move to the warm part of Russia. Well, Vanya, there are warm parts. Russia, on average, is colder than Britain or North America, but there are some warm parts of Russia. I think they're down. I think near on the Black Sea coast, around Crimea. I think it's warm, but that's sort of Ukraine. But the Crimea is, I think, part of Russia now. David Schultz, do I listen to the Richie Allen show? Sometimes, yeah. I haven't listened to it lately. I think Richie got his show taken off, didn't he? I know Simon Parks has just lost his show now. Well, I'll talk more about that at the end. Yes, they are trying to prevent Vincere. They're trying to prevent a public debate on the war. Yes, they are. Where in Turkmenistan? No, that's Madeline. Cat of a dogs. Yes, Mary. Love you, darling, says Emperor Mong. Anatolia. Mel says it's an issue from a couple of years ago. Hang on. Right, so just go forward slightly. Will Turkey and Lebanon let UK, USA, France fly over, send cruise missiles over their territory, or send? Well, what they'll do is, I think they'll probably, there's an air base in Cyprus, which I think is probably where the RAF will probably deploy from. The US essentially is bringing their own air strike force with them on that fleet. So if Trump is not playing for time, then what it means is they're planning for a much bigger strike. But I don't think that's likely, because this is exactly the same as the event last year. So there's no reason why Trump can't simply fire missiles again from those ships that are already there. As I said, there are 6 vessels, including a submarine specifically designed to launch missiles. So unless there's something, the globalists have actually. They plan to sort of wait and then do a full-scale invasion, which is why they're waiting for this fleet to get there. But I don't think that is. I think that is Trump playing for time. I hope so, and I hope so. Fingers crossed. I bloody hope that's what it is. I don't think we're going to have a spring this year. No, I don't think we are either, Stephen. Well, it's going to be nice next week, apparently. Spring is late, but it's hopefully going to make up for lost time. Hunley, no, I mean it's gone pear-shaped. Yeah, I know. Oh, right, that's what you mean, Hunley. Yeah, James Lynch. How is Larry Warren? I love that guy. Larry's okay. He's this sort of thing has got, you know, it's got to him like it's got to everyone, but he's sort of coping. He's all right. Okay, where are we? Okay. David Monday, perhaps Turkey's part of the target as they shot down Russian planes. I remember that shooting down that plane. It was a fighter jet, I remember, and it was a big hoo-ha over it. Yeah. Neptune returns. Can flat earthers explain why stars twinkle and planets don't? Well, it's isn't it obvious? It's on the firmament. You know, you don't ask questions like that. Tink123 says, John correct? Every path I've gone down personally leads back to Jesus Christ, divine power. I'm very pleased for you. Mel O'Brien, Larry Warren. I've heard Peter Robbins claiming the book is bogus, but he's never given any details, just vague allegations. Correct, Mel. I've actually written a whole article deconstructing what Peter Robbins said. It's Peter has just basically Peter has just drunk the Kool-Aid spread by the trolls, and he's a fool, and he knows he will find out what a fool he is when the Capel Green documentary comes out. It's got to be. Barry Trower explained a lot about the 5G technology. That's right. Here, Ben, says Anthony Moore. I watched a video the other day about the craft that crashed in Kecksburg. It was just as significant as Roswell. Yes, that was 1965. Now that was very interesting. And now I suspect that actually was not extraterrestrial. It was actually an anti-gravity craft. It was like part of the Bell project that came over with Operation Paperclip from the Nazis. That's what I suspect it was. In many ways, it is a much better story than Roswell, because it actually has there's much more evidence, there's better witness testimony. It was dealt with much more recent, it was dealt with much sooner. 69 Phuket. Penchant for fat old UFO guys. You talking about me? Cheeky bastard. Neil Austin, 21st Century Wire website has serious DOS attacks. Ben, he's back on YouTube. Or Richie Allen. Oh, cool. I'll watch him now. I'll watch him. It's going to be a nice week, says John, unless we're somewhere in the upper atmosphere. Yes. Nuclear winter coming soon. Oh, God. You see, this is the danger where you're facing with when you're dealing with these nuclear superpowers. And there's a lot of fuss been made. Oh, America and Russia, they've only got 8% of the weapons they had during the Cold War. Yes, but 8% is all you need to destroy the world. It doesn't. You see, there was massive overkill during the Cold War. You don't matter. It's where am I? Neptune. Oh, here we go. Ben, your Marike video is back up. Is it Neptune Returns? Oh, good. I mean, I haven't heard back from the YouTube legal team, and they're notoriously slow for getting back to you. But that's good news. I mean, I'm glad to hear it. Hopefully, hopefully everyone can see it now. I'll double check, but hopefully everyone can see it. Nuclear winter, says Hugo Rune. I'd worry about the coming ice age with the interruption of the Gulf Stream. Well, that's funny, Hugo. Yeah, you must have seen that article too about the Gulf Stream getting weaker, which means you better wrap up warm because it's going to get cold in Northern Europe. Yes, it is. So basically, we're going to have a climate like Canada, like more northern Canada. So it'll be a bit chilly. Yeah, hope it won't be too hot like a nuclear conflagration. Now, someone called Hu Han Lee is writing in Vietnamese. I don't understand your language. I'm sorry, terribly sorry. Are you talking about the train spotting videos? Because I put a few comments on some Vietnamese train spotting videos. You go to you just put in trains railways Vietnam. And a lot of the Vietnamese train drivers are like putting cameras in their cab, and you can actually see what the drivers see on these trains. And it's really great because, I mean, in Vietnam, there are no health and safety laws. And it's like, the trains just run down back alleys. And when they cross over roads, like the level crossing is just like a little gate. They just drag this little gate over the road. And the train just goes straight across in front of the bumpers of the cars. I mean, it's so funny things like in Britain, we have like this nanny state where there's massive barbed wire fences and huge signs that say, keep off the railway, danger, danger. But in Vietnam, they have something called common sense. People just go, oh, I don't think I'll walk on the railway when there's a train coming. It's And they'll say, well, how do they manage it? How do they cope? Because in Vietnam, the parents bring their children up not to be idiots, as Steve Hughes said, the Australian comedian. Just see Steve Hughes, just look at Steve Hughes' health and safety. Anyway, James Lynch, do you believe in remote viewing? I lost my place again. Do you believe in remote viewing when you think of the Far Side Project? Yeah, and the remote viewing things, Uri Geller and all that, very interesting stuff. It's getting late. God, I've been going for over 2 hours. Stephen Bambo, we live in the third dimension. Flat Earth is the second dimension. Oh, have you read Flatland, Stephen? Flatland by Edwin Abbott, who I don't think is an ancestor of Diane. I hope not. If not, he's got a lot more brains than his descendant. And but it's a very interesting book. You can get it free online. It's an old book. Yeah, third eye, says Mary. Yeah, remote viewing is the third eye. The Bill. Hello, Bill. Good evening. Where we go. Right. I love the Ben Poo. Says, am I the Ben Poo? Emperor Mong. Lob Sam Rampa. Yeah. Remote viewing has been proven, E-Man. Yeah, it's the Robert Monroe Institute. That's worth looking at. Lots of others as well. David Monday's mentioning crop circles. Great. I'm getting tired. Oh, Yellowstone supervolcano is stirring, says it's got to be. Yeah, that's very worrying. That that's happened before. Hold on. Here we go. I like remote viewing for a Grand National winner. Well, E-Man, if you give me a tip, let me know. Let me know. Does depend on what's that? Your pineal gland hasn't been calcified by fluoride. Yeah, that's true. That's it. Okay. I'm gonna have to stop the reply to comments soon, I'm afraid. So don't post any new ones if you want to reply. All right, I've reached the end of the comments now. Okay. Binary codes, says Mellow Brian. Aliens. Oh, you're not talking about the Rendlesham Forest thing, are you? Anyway, okay. Now, the point to do with the Russia thing is like, are we justified, I think, to overthrow the government by force? And I'd say yes. This is an act of sedition. It's incitement to sedition, but it's actually within our rights, within our constitution, to do that. Phuket, fluoride, yes, says Phuket. Yeah. Yeah, and so the problem is, though, I mean, what are the people going to do? I mean, people, like I said, people just now are. Adam Curtis said this. People just go, oh dear. They just, it's like this. It's almost like a kind of fatigue. The events of the world, they pass through like waves of a fever, and we're just so confused. We just go, oh dear. No one knows what to do. No one knows what to think. These crises come and go, and we can't really do anything to stop them. I mean, if a huge demonstration in London not only doesn't stop the war, but people still re-elect the same prime minister who took us into the last war, it just shows enormous subservience and complacency on the part of the population. So if we're going to have some sort of situation, which I think is going on right now in the United States, if Mike Cernovich and the others are right, we are actually having that right now. Trump is attempting to remove the globalist infiltrators, the occupation government of the United States. And according to Michael Salah, he has help. And I can just hope that similar things are going on here, because there's not going to be a bottom-up coup d'etat in Britain. A coup d'etat is not necessarily a bad thing. If the government is corrupt and the government is illegal and unlawful, and we have that one, they took us into the EU, which is an act of treason. They're getting us involved in illegal wars, which again is breaches the Kellogg-Briand Pact. That has led to the deaths of thousands of people. It was thousands of British citizens, as well as many, even more people in the countries that are affected. That is justification for removal from power. The problem is, who's going to do it? The truth movement? I'll say more about this maybe in another video. I'm certainly going to. This is what is going to be my address at Dreaming Sources. It's going to be about that, and I do hope you'll come along. Although I will record it and I will put it on Panlo TV. But you know, the truth movement is hopelessly dysfunctional. We're facing possible world war right now. And maybe we already are at world war. I mean, someone defined world war as more than 5 countries on each side fighting each other. Well, we're in that situation now. So maybe this is already the beginning of world war. What about the truth movement? What's the truth movement going to do about it? The truth movement pisses me off. The truth movement is catastrophically split. It's completely and utterly useless. It's descended into infighting, endemic infighting. And until that changes, and I don't see how it's going to change, we're not going to do anything. And there's a few of us who want to do something. We can't because everyone else won't back us up. Someone mentioned the trolls. Yes, it's still going on. While we're going through these awful situations, and we're facing the end of the world and the extinction of natural humans. Vanya Patson, it's a conference coming up, Vanya. I'll just poke a link to Dreaming Sources. While this is going on, the truth movement is. I'm just going to let Vanya know what this is. Okay. Now, while this is all going on, the truth movement is going around saying, "Oh, let me think of something nasty to type about Larry Warren." Or let's think of something nasty type about Simon Parkes or something like that. But these are people who don't have the excuse of ignorance, and they are they're jeopardizing the future of the world for ego games. That's the truth movement. So I'm at a loss about what's going to do. I just hope that we have something. Whatever Trump has got up his sleeve will work. I'll just go through some of your comments now. The last of your comments now. I'm going to have to end it all. Yeah, there's a big crop circle in Italy, said David Mundy. Have a cuppa and go to bed, says Hunley. I will in a moment. Yeah, someone mentioned pineal and fluoride. Yeah, the fluoride in the pineal gland. Why do you think they're putting it in the water and in toothpastes? Yes, exactly. I've done a whole article about that. Slaver ends in 2019. I hope was Phuket. That's next year. I hope so. Tink, the elites have told everyone in music, films, and logos when they turn a blind eye is an excuse. Yeah. Well, this is it. I think this is the part of their belief system is they give it us in hints, and if we don't respond, then in a sense we are giving them license. We are accountable according to their entire belief system. I love you too, Emperor Mwah. Universal law of karma. Yeah, karma's real. I've experienced it. Vincera Amamori. The treason in the US is happening out in the open right now. Trump is running out of time. He is. I mean, I just wish I could do something to help. I would fight alongside him in this war if I knew how. Or maybe what I'm doing now maybe this is my contribution. This is my shot against the enemy. FDNWO. Yes, Anthony, definitely. Vanya, Dreaming Sources is a conference I'm hosting in Oxford next month. I've just posted a link to in the chat. You can see it. Okay, it's Dreaming Sources. Dreaming Sources is called. James Lynch, thank you very much. Thanks for the live stream. Good night. Good night, James. Thank you very much. And about Dreaming Sources. Neptune returns. Dreaming Sources. I've just posted a link to the page about Dreaming Sources. Okay. So night, Tink, night, James. Night, Vanya. Thank you, Vanya. You're welcome, Vanya. Night, Edwardian lady. Thank you very much for posting. And Emperor Mong, you're knackered too. Oh, we're all knackered. Oops. Where are we? Right. I had a dream I was walking monograph down a pyramid. Oh, dear, 69. That's a weird one. The real God is energy, says Stephen. Okay. The infighting within the truth movement, says Tink, is a total joke. Utter hypocrisy, spreading peace and truth by hate and bullying. Yeah. I'm ashamed of what's going on these past few months. Absolutely. If you watch my video, is there any hope? I mean, I'll probably do another video about this infighting at some point. I'm going to have to. Jam Noise 72. Great show. Thanks, Ben. Thank you, Soul Sister. Thank you very much for joining us, Jam Noise. Much appreciated. Paul W. Going soon. Wednesday. Oh, hang on. There we go. I keep losing my place. It's just. Oh, hang When's the next live one? I don't know, Paul. As and whenever it's necessary. I'll do another live stream as soon as something like this comes up, because this is the kind of thing I like to do live streams about. The truth movement seems to be infiltrated. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there is infiltration in the truth movement. I know, but not as much as people think. Unfortunately, a lot of it is simply people behaving like idiots. I found you through Rich Planet, says Lordly Phantasm. Thanks. I love Rich Planet. Thanks, Lordly Phantom. Thank you very much. Thanks for the streams. You're welcome, Graham. I know it's nicer to be kind and caring, says Tink. Yes. People laugh at it and sees it weak, but no, it's not weak. Get the room sorted, says Fuke. There's nothing wrong with this room. It's absolutely fine. It's a man cave. What do you expect? Oh, you're welcome. I teach music, says Mel. Okay. Oh, well done, Mel. Inform the kids of what's happening. Mary, your open letter to Trump was such a brilliant one. Brilliant try. Thanks, Mary. I might write another one, actually. Another open letter to him. I really do. Kill them with kindness. Have nice dreams with Diane Abbott. I'll wake up screaming. Julian Carver. Nice night, Ben. Great live stream. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Guys, you're welcome. Thank you, Julian. Thank you very much. John Daniel. If only it was the norm. Human condition. Default. Oh, I know. It's bloody annoying. Night GS Evolve. Night Jam Noise. My eyes are touching my titties, says Anthony Morn. What a horrible image. Mine are too. Great evening. Thank you, Mel. And I never mentioned UFOs. I didn't either. Night, Lordly Phantasm. Night, Hunley. Thank you very much. Get on the forum. Boss Beatsart. Yeah, Beatsart keeps trying to troll my comments boxes on the blog. And I can see through him. I can recognize him when I see him coming. See you. Thanks, it's got to be. Okay. It's a great show, says Tink. Stay strong, Tink. Bye-bye, Stephen. I love you too, Jam Noise. Vincente. Night, guys. Okay, I'm going to stop the live stream now. All right, and you guys take care. Thanks, Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order. And thank you very much for taking part in this. Bye.